Please be seated. Good afternoon, honorable members, colleagues, guests in the gallery. Just give me 1 second. The secretary will read the fourth order of the day.
Debat oor begrotingspos 3, provinsiale tesourie, Weskaapse aansuiveringsbegrotingswetsontwerp.
Baie dankie. Ek sien die minister van Finansies, minister Baartman.
Afternoon. Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, last week I tabled a budget to weather the storm. The adjustment budget highlighted the Western Cape's resilience and recovery in the face of economic and fiscal upheaval. Now, today, Speaker, I take off my Treasury hat and I put my Finance Executive Authority hat on in order to table the smallest Western Cape government departmental vote. The current fiscal environment requires the Provincial Treasury to be proactive and responsive in its approach to managing public funds effectively and efficiently, not only within the general Western Cape government ecosystem, but also within the Provincial Treasury. In order to ensure that the Western Cape's financial position holds steady, the Provincial Treasury identified key values for the medium term: fairness, trust, value for money, innovation. And we've made significant progress so far. Today, I wish to focus mostly on being a provincial treasury you can trust, because it is important that the people of the Western Cape can trust that we know how to sail our ship. In order to foster trust, I've engaged with various MMCs of finance across districts in the Western Cape prior to the MTBPS to gauge them on opportunities and risks facing our municipalities. As an enabling and reliable partner, we are hosting the Provincial Budget and Governance Forum this coming Monday with municipalities to enhance governance and budget alignment. We further established a municipal intelligence team to enhance municipal support and collaboration and continue with our implementation of the automated internal audit system to strengthen internal audit capacity. We are prioritizing support for municipal financial sustainability. This past financial year, Provincial Treasury evaluated municipal budgets through the strategic integrated municipal budget engagements to ensure cohesive planning, monitored budget implementation and performance through quarterly municipal performance assessments. We provided detailed feedback to municipalities on the annual reports. We reviewed service delivery and budget implementation plans for compliance with the MFMA, allocated financial assistance to improve governance through the Municipal Financial Recovery Services Grant, and fostered collaboration and knowledge sharing on fiscal challenges through the CFO Forum. Speaker, trust also means that it is important that what we are saying and what we are doing is correctly reflected in our financial statements. For the second consecutive year, the Western Cape government departments and entities achieved 100% unqualified audits, and the Provincial Treasury boasts its 11th clean audit this year, a testament to resilience despite a tough fiscal environment. The 2024-25 adjustment budget for Vote 3 Provincial Treasury reflects 306.1 million rand, and it reflects the strategic priorities of the department. We have, however, had to revise our budget downwards, and this reduction in the department's budget represents a net decrease, adjusted from the original 339.7 million rand in the main 2024-25 budget, approximately 30.6 million rand in an adjustment. The majority of the reductions is due to releasing compensation of employee funds back to the Provincial Revenue Fund as a result of a revised recruitment plan and a revised fiscal consolidation strategy. In terms of accounting changes in the budget, we will see particular shifts between units in order to maximize efficiency within the department. Additionally, funding has been reallocated for research to the outer financial years. The adjustment presented us with a variety of challenges, but also opportunities. It has forced us to look closely at the department's long-term viability, rethink our approach to internal operations, and lay the groundwork for future sustainability. We are therefore aligning 23.4 million rand in COE savings, a significant adjustment which is largely due to our revised recruitment plan due to the fiscal consolidation, as well as delays in filling vacant funded posts, internal promotions, attrition, and deferment of graduate trainees. Trust, therefore, Speaker, means indicating why we have COE savings, rollovers, and realignments in our budget. And for this, we will use the savings, reallocate 3.5 million rand to the 2026-27 and 2027-28 financial years for dedicated capacity to develop and implement institutional funding strategy for the Western Cape government. This will also support our work on alternative and blended financing. We will reallocate 4.3 million rand in 2025-26 for the purpose of economic analysis research and to appoint an infrastructure panel of experts to support our work on alternative and blended finance through the evaluation of infrastructure projects. We will reallocate 3 million rand to 2025-26 to cover legal fees, expenses related to the Smart Procurement Conference to support financial sustainability in municipalities, and the appointment of a business and data analyst. And finally, we'll reallocate 1 million rand to 2025-26 for the appointment of resources dedicated to advancing the MSCOA strategy, which will further support municipalities. Speaker, for the 2025 financial year, we will, however, reassess capacity constraints and funding requirements within Provincial Treasury, as well as update our talent strategy, because doing more with less for more people comes at a cost. It risks adverse effect on our officials' mental and emotional well-being, and we need to address these risks in the upcoming financial year. We will further speak a roll over 432,000 rand, of which 135,000 is for previously committed office furniture procured to replace obsolete furniture as part of the culture rebrand. We will roll over part of that 230,000 rand for research related to the 20th and 21st Gambling and Racing Amendment Bills, and 67,000 rand to cover legal fees related to the 2023 wage agreement dispute. Speaker, you will further see a notable reduction in consultancy services in terms of information and communication technology projects across programs, and identified savings as we've had fewer mobile devices and travel and subsistence claims. These funds will be allocated towards funding critical goods and services needs within the department. 122,000 rand in additional provisions have been made for training and development for the Chartered Accountant Academy trainees, and 157,000 rand in provisions have been made for audit fees, ensuring compliance and oversight. However, necessary adjustments were made to the Western Cape Municipal Financial Recovery Services Grant, which has been reduced by 1.69 million rand, bringing the total allocation down to 310,000 rand, which will be directed to support the Beaufort West municipality. We'll be increasing the allocation for the Western Cape Financial Management Capability Grant by 2.663 million rand, raising the total to 20.423 million rand. These allocations are in line with our commitment to municipal financial sustainability. And finally, we will shift 830,000 rand to the Department of the Premier to co-fund the shortfall of Microsoft licenses, which will be allocated to the Provincial Treasury due to the rand-dollar exchange rate increase. Speaker, we are having to do more with less for more people, but we are committed to remaining a Provincial Treasury that you can trust as part of a strong Western Cape government team to weather the storms we face. Honourable Speaker, as I conclude, I want to take a moment to remember one of our dear colleagues within the Provincial Treasury, Ian Steenkamp-Kahns, who sadly passed away last month. Ian dedicated 9 years to public service and was deeply admired and respected across the Western Cape government. Ian was also an incredible support during my first months in this role, and I'm deeply grateful for the assistance he offered and the contributions he made. From drafting my ministerial online biography to organizing our very first Provincial Treasury FinTech event with the FinTech Association of South Africa, the Banking Association of South Africa, the Payments Associations of South Africa, and other key stakeholders within the finance sector. He was authentic and kind and cared deeply for his colleagues. We have not had time to mourn him while having to work against the clock to put an adjustment budget together. And may he rest in peace. Speaker, I would also like to pay tribute to my late friend, Admiral finance sparring colleague. He was stubborn, Speaker, Governor Tito Mboweni. I remember the day when I first got elected as a public representative. He was furious, exclaiming, "We did not want this for you," referring to many of our parents' conservative dreams for us to become doctors and lawyers and accountants and engineers. He was from a different generation. Wow. I wonder what he would have said today as I stand here walking around in shoes that may never fit. And I'm hoping that up there he has found someone to vigorously debate art and history with, from the history of the South African Reserve Bank to the origins of money. Thank you, and I hope that you are resting in peace with many, many avo trees growing around you. To the colleagues in Cabinet and in my caucus, I thank you for your support. To Chairperson Johnson, the committee members and the procedural officers of both the Finance and Budget Committees, your dedication and oversight assist us in refining and improving our work. As we table this vote today, I do so with full appreciation of Team Finance, who have had to pull together during this very difficult period, while also having to maneuver and navigate a complex and challenging budget period. I want to thank our Head of Treasury, Ms. Yolanda Gantana, and the rest of the senior management team in the department, Annelies Pick, Taryn van Rede, Paul Pinaar, Michelle Nicholas, Ziad Majid, and Malcolm Boyson for their steady leadership. I also want to thank each and every staff member in the Provincial Treasury for the late nights and long hours that they have invested into getting us through this budget period. Your sacrifices and contributions are truly appreciated. The Provincial Treasury under the leadership of Ms. Gantana is truly a shining example of excellence within the staff complement of the Western Cape government. I would also like to thank my team in the Finance Ministry, Dr. Grant Caswell, Marshall Fredericks, for your key technical insights and expertise, and to Christian Marnowick, Sandra Francisco, Ifshan Davids, Edwina Herman, and Gaynor Lucas for your hard work, efficient operations, and logistical arrangements. Thank you to Team Finance's unwavering commitment to fairness, trust, value for money, and innovation. Honourable Speaker, as I mentioned earlier, we are having to do more with less. And while difficult decisions have been made, they were taken with the future financial sustainability of the Western Cape government and the people of our province in mind. We continue to aim to being a provincial treasury you can trust. And I hereby table vote 3 of the adjustment budget for Provincial Treasury for the 2024-25 financial year for deliberation. I thank you, and ek lê ter tafel.
Baie dankie, agbare minister. I recognize the Honourable Mkontlo.
Nkosi Somlomo, ndiyazibulisela emva kwele mini ngeli xesha nosuku lwethu lokugqibela kuloo ndlu yowiso-mthetho. Honourable Speaker, colleagues, everybody in the House, as the ANC, we want to state up front that we do not support this budget vote. Considering this is a budget vote that has actually decreased from the main appropriation of 33.6 with 33.6 million. Actually, Speaker, part of the conversation that the minister and I feel her loss of the friend, and may his soul continue to rest in peace, of Comrade Tito Mboweni. One of the things, Minister, that you would have known that you have left unattended and an unfinished business is the money bill for this Western Cape that actually renders this budgeting process ineffective, undermines the legislature's ability to exercise meaningful oversight. And that was the responsibility we were given by this House before Wele to the other side. This parliament has been stripped of its power by the DA's partisan approach to governance, financial governance included, leaving it unable to intervene in inappropriate budget allocations by the executive. So what we become a toothless parliament, because indeed, part of why the budget is brought to us is not only to just sing praises of the executive. It is our responsibility to say, indeed, there were unforeseen things during the main allocation, and therefore, sitting on this side as the legislature, we believe that this particular intervention, because these budgets are actually prepared by the very executive, so they become the referees and the players at the same time. So indeed, an instrument that is supposed to enable us, especially in an exceptional provinces, we are always told, like the Western Cape, should be leading by example to demonstrate that you do what others are not doing. This current budget fails to prioritize critical issues, and we've been lamenting the issue of a claim that was made by MEC Wenger when he was finance, and called this, when it was appropriated, that this is a budget of the poor. And when we are raising here in this House issues of the poor to be considered in an adjustment budget, those actually are left to deaf ears of a partisan budgeting process. The issue of a children's commissioner, were told by Provincial Treasury that no, they've not been spending money. Where has been the Provincial Treasury if an entity is not spending money? Where were you? And adequate support for the informal economy. I think we are growing old now, and we're actually going to be getting into SASA, talking about the informal economy in this particular House, with none of you ever responding to a very critical sector of the economy where people are standing on the sidelines wanting to participate. They do not want grants. All they want is to participate. And the fiscal leakages of the fact that these informal traders must be subjected to challenges of crime and many other, including a red tape that you speak about, but it's never clear how it responds to the issues of informal economy. What is the role of provincial treasuries? Provincial treasuries are supposedly to play a vital role in ensuring responsible financial management. Yet, in this one, you have fallen short on this mandate. Under the DA-led government, there's a persistent trend of financial mismanagement characterized by rollovers, virements, and unjustified deferrals of funds to future years. Colleagues, we have gone past the stage of your clean audits. You can lament those all you want. You know, that's a fact that is not going to be disputed by anybody. But beyond that fact, Honorable Speaker, please speak to Honorable Bredel. Beyond that particular fact of clean audits, the responsibility of the legislative arm of the state is to actually do its work of oversight. So we're not going to be told by you, just because you clean or you receive clean audit, it means we must clap hands and we must keep quiet. That is not what is the establishment as per the constitution of this particular legislature. Actually, we've seen now a concerning trend of what one terms prepaid budgeting, which has emerged where departments request funds during the main appropriation, deliberately underspend or delay their use, and then request rollovers or surrender unspent funds to the very provincial revenue fund. What is going on here? Actually, if you go into the blue book, your book, it says, what is a rollover? A rollover are funds appropriated in 2023-24, but not spent, to be reappropriated in 2024-2025. What is this? What is the point of us engaging in these budgeting processes? Because actually, if you look MEC of Finance, in the 14 departments, actually in the departments here in this particular province, only 3 had no rollovers. Only 3. With the Department of the Premier, actually one of the ones that got the biggest rollover of 20 million, infrastructure, 27.8, agriculture, 12 million. So you've got your main appropriated budget, you also have rollovers. Then you come here, again, you tell us that
your
there's
time has
money.
expired. Please
You also
conclude.
tell us that there's money that you're going to place in future years.
Yes.
This is financial mismanagement that comes under very nice
Thank you
way
very
of
much,
financial
Honourable
accounting.
Thank you. I recognize the Honourable Constable.
Good afternoon, Speaker, and good afternoon, my colleagues in the House. Be greeted in the almighty name of Jesus Christ. Speaker, let me first thank the MEC for answering a lot of my questions, so I don't have to speak the whole 2 minutes. However, Speaker, there's just 3 issues for me. First of all, the funds surrendered to the Provincial Revenue Fund amount to 33.6 million. This funds has been surrendered due to slower than anticipated staff appointments and underutilized services. Also, Speaker, the amount for goods and services, and the MEC also answered that one, because my question is, and I have 3 critical questions. What is the long-term plan to reduce consultant reliance and ensure public sector capacity? Number 2, how will rural communities benefit equitably from this budget, and what measures will address existing gaps? 3, what mechanisms are in place to monitor the impact of surrendered funds on service delivery outcomes? Speaker, 3 of my recommendations for the MEC for next year, and I know I'm not a financial boffin, but MEC, allow me to give it to you, and you've already mentioned it. Number 1, internal capacity building. Please prioritize investment in human capital within the provincial treasury to reduce consultant dependency, and you've already mentioned it. 2, rural development, allocate specific measurable funds to rural transport and ensure equitable infrastructure investment. Number 3, MEC, proactive disaster planning. Please increase allocations towards climate resilience infrastructure to mitigate future disasters. With this said, Speaker, the Patriotic Alliance support the budget vote 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Constable. I recognize the Honourable Kasim.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the adjusted appropriation decrease of 33.6 million in Treasury just shows that the department does not have much work to do. It is now time for this department to start pulling its weight and move around to source funding from provincial government projects instead of always complaining about the reduction in equitable share to this province. Speaker, there is a lot that this province can achieve if the provincial treasury can start to work. The provincial government must find money to build shelters for homeless people, the elderly, abused women and children, and for the specific department to administer those shelters instead of relying on NPOs to do the work of the government only because government does not want to spend its money, but to push the buck to these NPOs. Speaker, the Office of the Children's Commission must also be overseen by provincial treasury, and budget allocation must come straight from treasury to the commission, because currently the commission is abused under the department of the premier, and it is children who suffer the consequences of such abuse. Speaker, the 33.6 million not used by treasury is the money which could be used on homeless people, the elderly, the Office of the Children's Commission, to list a few. So in conclusion, for these reasons, among others, the EFF will not be supporting this vote. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Kasim. I recognize the Honourable Brinkhuis.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and good afternoon to you and good afternoon to all the members. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Speaker, gangsterism and violence in our townships on the Cape Flats are a historical problem, and the province over the years have failed to deal with. Children are still forced to do their homework under tables to avoid being hit by stray bullets. Schools are not safe places of learning, and many children with learning disabilities, especially in rural areas, are forced to attend overcrowded classrooms and denied the education for special needs. The education of the most vulnerable communities is not being prioritized. No efforts have been made to save the post of the much needed educators. But despite no safe schools, the province took a decision to allocate more funding to agriculture than education and health. National Treasury has allocated funding to every province to fight HIV/AIDS, but the Western Cape Premier chose to underspend this budget meant to make the life of HIV/AIDS patients easier. Al-Jamaa believes that public participation programs should
Honorable
be
Brancase, please conclude. Your time has expired.
revisited to allow more residents and especially people with disabilities to have their say on the budget. I thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Brancase. I now recognize the Honorable Johnson.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, today we deliberate on a budget that reflects not just fiscal prudence, but a commitment to innovation, growth and resilience. Amidst a challenging economic climate, the Provincial Treasury has embraced bold and forward-thinking measures to ensure that every rand is utilised with maximum efficiency and effectiveness. Through initiatives like the Fiscal Future Project and a strategic focus on infrastructure spending, we are laying a strong foundation for sustainable development and economic opportunities in the Western Cape. Honourable Speaker, Programme 2, the Sustainable Resource Management, exemplifies this innovative approach. Expenditure is projected to increase during the second half of the financial year, largely due to the continuation of consultancy services linked to the Fiscal Future Project. This initiative is not merely a budgeting tool, it represents a paradigm shift in how we approach fiscal planning and management. The Fiscal Future Project is designed to provide a dynamic planning model tailored specifically for the Western Cape government, enabling our fiscal strategy to adapt to the changing economic conditions. At the heart of this initiative is the Fiscal Future Tool, a sophisticated financial forecasting mechanism that has already undergone successful live testing. This tool equips us to analyze critical economic trends such as downward GDP growth or fluctuation in provincial revenue and understand their potential and the impact on the province. By integrating these insights into our planning process, we can make data-driven decisions that are both proactive and strategic. This capability is particularly critical as it allows us to anticipate risks and opportunities, ensuring that the Western Cape is better prepared to navigate an increasingly uncertain global economic landscape. The Fiscal Future Project is not just a response to the immediate challenges, but it's a foundation for long-term sustainability. During the previous financial year, the Provincial Treasury faced considerable difficulties in adjusting budgets under fiscal consolidation. Yet, the Fiscal Future tools provide invaluable enabling scenario-based planning that mitigate risks and improve responsiveness. Beyond its immediate utility, the project identifies and addresses key drivers of fiscal uncertainty at local government level. It presents innovative solutions to bolster resilience, ensuring that our fiscal strategy remain robust even in the face of adversity. The insights gained from these initiatives are already driving critical reforms to our budgeting process, reinforcing our commitment to sustainable financial management. Honourable Speaker, turning to infrastructure spending, it is clear that investment in this area is a key lever for economic growth and job creation. As part of this commitment, 2.38 million has been reallocated to the 2025-26 financial year to appoint a panel of experts. This panel will play a vital role in advancing infrastructure funding opportunities by providing technical assistance and evaluating project proposals, including those linked to infrastructure pipelines. These experts, alongside an institutional fundraiser, will ensure oversight of spending and the development of innovative financing mechanisms. Infrastructure is central to achieving the Western Cape's vision of a 1 trillion economy. Over the medium-term expenditure framework, the Provincial Treasury will continue to strengthen its capacity to select, plan, appraise, and monitor infrastructure delivery. This includes maintaining existing infrastructure and exploring alternative funding mechanisms to support project preparation and implementation. Importantly, this approach goes beyond the immediate, focusing on institutionalizing a governance and delivery management system for infrastructure. This system will ensure integration across departments, promote seamless delivery, and holistically manage the life cycle of immovable assets. Honourable Speaker, the Provincial Treasury is also committed to building the necessary internal capacity to fulfill its infrastructure mandate. As outlined in the DPSA Circular number 45 of 2020, this involves establishing a credible infrastructure investment pipeline and leveraging alternative funding solutions. By doing so, we are not only addressing immediate infrastructure needs, but also laying the groundwork for sustained economic growth and development. These efforts are undertaken in close collaboration with the Department of Infrastructure to align with the province's broader focus on growth for jobs. By prioritizing infrastructure as a driver of economic activity, we are unlocking opportunities for communities, businesses, and individuals across the Western Cape. Honourable Speaker, together, the Fiscal Future Project and our strategic focus on infrastructure spending demonstrate the Provincial Treasury's unwavering commitment to innovation, resilience, and growth. These initiatives reflect a government that is not only responsible to the current challenges, but also forward-looking in its vision for the future. Through careful planning, proactive management, and a steadfast commitment to sustainable development, we are ensuring that the Western Cape continue to thrive, even in the face of adversity. To this end, I support this vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honourable Johnson. And now recognize the Minister, Minister Baartman.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I actually want to tell you about something that happened in the previous term. So there was a previous member of someone in the opposition who actually said something really nasty about me in a sitting once. And I didn't know that Gov was watching. He used to randomly check in with what am I doing and what am I saying and why am I fighting? And after this person said something horrible, I didn't actually realize that this person was called up from Pretoria to ask, why are you saying horrible things about women in different political parties? Why are you saying such mean? And the reason I'm trying to speak about this particular story is because Gov was very passionate about teamwork and also about reading. Because the thing apparently that he said to this person was, if you're not going to read the documents that she's referring to and you're going to say mean things afterwards, then you shouldn't be there in the first place. And he was very adamant about reading, and I'm also very adamant about reading. So I'm just going to quickly go through some of the items that are captured in the Blue Book specifically. So after net decrease of 33 million, you see that the bulk of it is the 23.4 million for COE. Okay, it's 33 million. Bulk is 23.4. Okay, now we minus the 1.3 million for leave gratuity, injury on duty, and pension penalty, gone. Then you decrease the 830,000 rand for Microsoft licenses, gone. Then we have to plan for the fact that we need an economist to handle our gambling-related matters. So we take 542,000 rand off that COE, gone. Now let's deal with the respective COE matters. Of the COE savings that we have, that 23.4 million rand, we have to transfer one person from our infrastructure unit within PT to another unit in the finance unit. So it's a movement in the department, that particular COE. Then, for example, you see two transfers, two system controllers, funders were shifted to the SEM unit because of our new structure, we need two procurement specialists. So now we're saying, okay, we're going to have less of this, we need procurement specialists. So now you're seeing the COE movement within the department. Then, Speaker, I'll actually tell you about all of the internal promotions in the COE amount in this book that we have. Our asset management, procurement and contract management position has been filled due to internal promotion. The DD for public-private partnership unit needs to be filled. Why? Internal promotion. Procurement manager needs to be filled. Internal promotion. System controller, chief accounting practitioner, LGAC, group 3, chief financial analyst, legal and policy unit, chief financial analyst, financial compliance in the MFMA, the DDG governance and asset management. You see her sitting there. She's HOD now. She must now refill her previous position. These are all internal promotions. Then you have trainees and interns. We have 4 CAA trainees contracts, which we've extended from the previous cycle. And the new intake is only going to start on 1 March 2025. Now, when you have a difference between the previous intake and the new intake, and there's delays in these items, you're going to have savings. When you have internal promotions, while you're busy appointing the new people that have to now take your place because you have now entered maybe into senior management, you're going to have savings on COE. And you see, Speaker, I said in the beginning, I took my treasury hat off and I put my finance hat on, because not even finance is safe from treasury. If you have savings in your budget and you're not going to use it this year, you must give it back to the Provincial Revenue Fund. And that is the end of the story. In terms of internal shifts, the pay interns are going to be paid against the management services and not the capacity building on the system. So you will see their movement in that money within units. And then you will see also early appointments, which were projected to allow for transfers of skills, and the rest of those are savings from delay of appointments and where we needed to re-advertise specifically. But I did make a commitment previously. The committee would also send this information to them previously, and we have nothing to hide in that regard. In terms of future years spending on COE, Speaker, there are particular niche expert skills in the market that we don't currently have. Not everyone has the skills to work on alternative and blended financing. Not everyone has the skills to work on alternative and blended financing for particular evaluation of infrastructure projects. It's not just something you're going to wake up and find in the market automatically. So we need to go out into the market to procure those skills in terms of COE. And every month it takes in order for us to find people that apply for these jobs is savings on COE. But you can't, as a department, want to keep that savings just for yourself. You must go defend why you must keep the savings. And if you're going to appoint it a month later, if the Premier appointed me on the 13th of July instead of the 13th of June, you would have seen 1 month of remuneration savings for the Minister's office in this budget. That's how it works, because you're not going to pay me back for that month that I did not work. You're going to pay me from the day that I start. That's how the working world works. In terms of just the other comments, I'm going to try and deal with some of the finance items, because majority of the questions which were asked are actually questions for the treasury hat on and not necessarily for finance. Just on the fiscal futures, thank you so much. We have already started using the fiscal futures tool, and just its ability to forecast impacts on future budgets has really been very, very useful and reliable within the department, so that we are able to assess future possible shocks. In terms of the money bill, so Speaker, you would also know, when my term ended as chair of budget in the previous term, the money bill process was in its technical stages between WCBP and Provincial Treasury at the time. When I became an executive, I am no longer part of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament as a member of the committee or the chair of the budget committee. That's unfortunately how it works. I can't help that. So I await engagement if the committee wants to have engagement on the bill, because it would be inappropriate for the executive authority to lead the work on the money bill. Whether I'm passionate about the money bill process or not is now irrelevant, because I'm no longer the chair of the budget committee, and that just is what it is. In terms of how much money do we budget for the poor, so even without going into line items of the adjustment budget specifically, if we only focus on the additional provincial revenue, for example, more than 75% of the additional provincial revenue put into this adjustment budget was for health, education, and social development. That's even without going into, for example, the disaster money. That's without, for example, going into some of the infrastructure money that's going to be used in this particular bill. And I'm sure that if we had to even analyze what that infrastructure had to go for, which the disaster money had to go for, then I think this number probably would be much, much higher. Again, in terms of why is other departments not sending savings back, Speaker, people must send their savings back if they're not going to use it. We're in a very fiscally tough environment. Whatever department your name is, you can have the fanciest name of department or entity. If you're going to not use your money, if you're going to only use it in the next year, then you must give it back to the Provincial Revenue Fund until you are able to show how you're going to spend your respective money. None of us, we must be able to spend our money. That it is what it is. In terms of the informal economy, I would like to refer the member to the Department of Economic Development. I know that they are doing some work in this regard, but they will also notice on pages 75 to 79 of the payroll that we've added extra information on informal employment and economy in this regard. And there are some extra information in the Mero as well, but this doesn't fall under the vote 3 mandate specifically. Just for everyone who always complain about, you can't eat a clean audit. Speaker, there's this thing called the cash management policy in the Provincial Treasury. And the cash management policy, actually by making sure the departments only get the amount of money that they need for per quarter, has actually created 517 million rand in interest within the Provincial Revenue Fund. And our Provincial Revenue Fund has again received a clean audit. So if you're saying that you can't eat a clean audit, then it also means that you're disagreeing with the fact that there's 517 million rand that we made in interest that we actually put back into our 2024 adjustment budget, which we're putting back into the planning for the 2025 budget, because the money must come from somewhere, because the money is not coming from national. You can't go steal 590 billion rand for SOEs, taking it from health, taking it from education, taking it from police, but then you're upset about the fact that we can't eat clean audits when you actually can eat a clean audit because we made 517 million rand off an interest policy. Now, Speaker, I didn't hear everything that Member Constable spoke about in terms of the rural areas, and I think he was asking me about the metrics of the rural areas, but I also would like to refer him to the Mero. I don't know if there's a particular area that he wishes to have information upon, but he's also welcome to forward us the particular questions if there's something specific that he would like to know, and we'll do our best to get back to him on those items. Rural development does fall under agriculture. I do know that the National Treasury is wishing to do a review on all of the various conditional grants for the new financial year. So there may be some improvements in the conditional grant process coming up in the new financial year. And I would advise the member to engage with agriculture in this regard. In terms of proactive disaster planning, Speaker, I think majority of my speech previously was about disaster planning. So separate to the money that we are getting for the infrastructure for disaster related infrastructure. And that was the 948 million rand that we're getting from national. Now, the member Brinkhuis also mentioned this particular disaster funding. The money that is going to agriculture, you can't move it, because it's infrastructure coming through an agriculture conditional grant for the condition of agriculture using it for disaster-related money in line with the disaster-related money that National Treasury gave us. So you can't move that now to something else, because if someone gives you 5 rand for apples and they say the condition is you must buy apples, then you can't go buy bananas. You must buy apples with the 5 rand that they gave you. So what National Treasury said with the agriculture money is, we are giving you 5 rand for apples. You can only buy apples, and if you don't use the 5 rand, you must give the 5 rand back, because then we're not going to give you the money for something else. It's a condition. So equitable share is a bit different. Equitable share, you can do anything with. Conditional grants, you can only spend on what you were told you can spend it on. It's the same as earmark. You can only spend it on what you were told you can spend it on. So if the National Treasury says, Member Brinkhuis, that I can use the 300 million rand for anything we wish, please know that the Provincial Revenue Fund will be in the highest of spirits by this afternoon. Separate to the infrastructure money that we're getting, that 940.48. We are also putting 922 million rand aside for unavoidable, unforeseeable, and external shocks in our respective reserves. And the reason we do this is because, Member Brinkhuis, disasters don't wait for a Provincial Treasury allocation letter. When people are in trouble, they don't wait for someone to sign off the books for whether or not we must help them. The money must be available, and we need to make it as easy as possible for our departments to be able to access the money, to be more agile, to be more responsive when it comes to disasters, separate to the 922 322 million rand that we're putting into the reserves for the unavoidable, the unforeseeable, the future shocks. We are also allocating in this adjustment budget over 21 million rand for fire aerial support, for integrated fire and water responses, for humanitarian relief, for nutritional support, for clearing alien vegetation, because we need to be able to have that focus. I was joking with Minister Bradell the other day. He didn't even wait for the budget to be adopted before the disaster started happening, and you start getting on WhatsApp groups, here's a fire, here's a fire, here's a fire. The fire season has started, Speaker. It's not going to wait for budget to be tabled. We need to prepare for the unknown. We need to prepare for the unavoidable. We need to prepare for the unforeseeable. The disaster is not going to wait for allocation later. I'm very sorry. Then in terms of shelters and social development, I would like to refer the member to the Social Development Department. But since I'm on the matter, since everyone's asking me about Treasury matters and the finance vote, let me quickly deal with the social development vote quickly. The social development vote is not decreasing. It is decreasing in accounting terms. They have to ask another department to do work for them. So it's as if Minister Lond had to ask me, Deirdre, you know what? I want to give you some money to do some audit stuff for me. Then technically he would have moved his money to me so that I can help him with certain things. Now, the same thing is working with infrastructure. He's saying, Minister Lond is saying, you know what? Actually, maybe infrastructure can do this better for me. So he's going to his bank account and he's saying, Minister Simmers, I'm sending money to your bank account to do the same thing that I was going to say to the members of the parliament that I was going to do in the main budget. So the money is not gone. Another department is going to do the same work. The budget is actually increasing because of the humanitarian relief, because of the nutritional support. In terms of the Western Cape Children's Commissioner, I'm not sure whether it would be more effective moving to the provincial treasury in this regard, but I take the comment from Member Kasim, and I think perhaps that is a conversation that needs to happen with the Western Cape Children's Commissioner should they want. In terms of
Minister, can you please take your seat? Minister Meyer, is there a point of order?
Honourable Speaker, I listened very attentively. I heard the Minister speak about apples in agriculture. I would like to know if the Minister is prepared to take question.
Honourable Minister, I'm not going to give the Minister an opportunity to answer that. I've made a ruling yesterday. We're dealing with adjustment budgets, so we will stick to the order of the day. Minister, please continue.
Oh, okay. I was going to say yes, but if the Minister Mayor does want to know more than apples, we did table the Provincial Economic Review and Outlook, as well as various different municipal economic reviews and outlook. And in the respective chapters, what we've also included in the Pero and the Mero is also the top fruit that are imported and exported from the Western Cape. We have indicated the respective contributions from the agricultural sector to the Western Cape economy. And for example, if you go to page 30 of the Pero specifically, and you go to the little, there's like this speaker, when I speak about apples, it's not just because I say so, there's an actual photo of the apples in the Pero on page 30. And it speaks about the agricultural exports in the province, which has grown by 190.7% between 2014 and 2023 in this province. So when you go to chapter 2 in the Pero, you will see lots of nice graphs in terms of agriculture, and you will also see lots of nice items on what exactly the fruit contribution is in this regard. And if the Minister wants more information, Speaker, you can also go to page 52 of the Pero, because page 52 of the Pero will speak to your top 10 fruit exported from the Western Cape between 2014 2023, and they are in the following order. In terms of fruit products, it is
Honourable
oranges.
Minister, please take your seat. Minister Meyer, is that a point of order?
Given the detailed answer, I would like to withdraw my question.
Thank you very much, honourable members. Just for Hansard, that is not a point of order. Honourable Minister, you may continue.
Speaker, just to conclude, because I don't want anyone to be thinking that you are not a provincial treasury you can trust. So let me at least finish the top 10 fruit of the province. So it is oranges, it is grapes, It is mandarins, which includes tangerines and satsumas, apples, lemons and limes, pears, cranberries, bilberries, and other fruit of the genus Vaccinium. I have no idea what a Vaccinium is. Maybe the Minister of Agriculture might know. Plums
Order.
and sloes, grapefruit, including
Order,
pomelos,
members.
peaches, including nectaries. And these are not our numbers. These are Quantec own calculations for people who sometimes think that we come up with calculations out of the air.
Speaker.
We are a government, we are data and evidence.
Honourable Minister,
and
please
these are
take your
data and
seat.
evidence from Quantec.
Honourable Minister, please take a seat. Honourable Gensu, is that a point of order?
Yeah, yes, Speaker.
What's your point of order?
MEC Mayor is concerned that there's a beauty contest of being everywhere when you respond, because it's only him who can only be everywhere when he's supposed to respond. So that is why he's this chaotic. That was the point of order.
Honourable Member, that is not a point of order. Honourable Members, we are reaching the end of the budget votes. Now, please ask that you order. Now, please ask that you work with us to get through the budget votes. So frivolous points of orders will also not be entertained. Honourable Minister, you may continue.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm not sure whether Minister Mayor might be threatened by his trophy in this house, but challenge accepted. So I'll end off with the last question from the member Brinkhuis, who spoke about education and special education needs. And I actually want to ask that member Brinkhuis please work with us to lobby for special needs education to be included in the provincial equitable share formula. Currently, the amount of money that we get for public ordinary school and for learners, and we don't get more money for special needs learners. So special needs learners can go up to almost 6 times the amount that you need for a learner in a public ordinary school. For various reasons, it ranges between the respective special needs. But because it's not included as a category in the equitable share, it means that they are not actually budgeted for. And I also want to lobby the member that similar to special needs education, our OMAs and our OPAs at home in terms of home-based care are also not counted in the equitable share. Because if you don't physically go to the hospital, if you don't physically go to the clinic, they exclude you from the calculation for the pairs. And it is not okay, because what has happened in the Western Cape since COVID is we have innovated. Our departments innovated and said, actually, you don't necessarily need to come to the hospital in order for you to have quality services. You don't necessarily need to come to the clinic in order to have quality services. But that innovation has resulted in us not getting the money for home-based care, and it's not compensated enough through the various conditional grants in this regard. So please, if the member can assist us with fighting that home-based care needs to start being considered, because we are still servicing those particular members of the community. And that is not the only areas in the provincial equitable share that needs to be increased. What we have seen is our GDP is increasing, our employment is increasing, our Gini coefficient is going down, our HDI is going up. But the problem is when you have 19.6% in migration into the province, it's outpacing every other metric. So you don't see the gains as clearly as you would have if the population in migration went toe to toe with the other metrics. So the population growth, the population weighting in the pairs needs to increase. If you are the 3rd largest province in terms of population, but you're getting the 5th largest portion of the pairs, there's a problem. And when you look at, for example, the Constitution, when you look at Section 214 of the Constitution, we are not only talking about the horizontal part of the pairs in terms of the provinces, because we cannot continue fighting amongst us as provinces, and the apples and the money is just moving around provinces in terms of how much of the pairs we're getting. The provincial envelope in the country needs to increase, and it's not impossible. The National Minister of Finance increased the local government equitable share to 9.8%. So why can't he increase the provincial envelope as well? Because we can't continue fighting with one another about the same piece of pie. The pie needs to increase. And as provinces, we need to stand up, we need to stand together and lobby for a bigger part of the equitable share so that we are able to service more people coming into our provinces, particularly within the social services sector, within health, within education, education, within social development. And since Member Brinkes is going to be lobbying with me on the pairs, both vertically and horizontally, as a house, we must call on the National Treasury and the Department of Social Development to confirm, are social workers frontline services or not? Because in the DORA responses from the National Treasury to the Budget Committee, they basically just said, we refer it to social development, when the answer could have just been yes or no. But there's no clarity in the system at the moment. Are they frontline workers or not? Do the national government consider social workers frontline workers? Because the Western Cape government does. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Honourable members, that concludes the debate on this vote. I'm just going to allow for the colleagues from Mobility, if they are here, to take the seat. That's the end of the vote. Honourable Minister, can I continue? Honourable order members, Honourable Minister, are you happy that we proceed?
Somlomo, kos gaan voort. Honourable Speaker,
Yeah.
you know, if I was
No, Minister, I didn't recognize you. I just asked you if you are ready to proceed. We must first read the order for the record. So you must please take your seat. Order members. Order. The secretary will read the fifth order of the day.
Debate on Vote 8 Mobility Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Minister Seleko.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. As I was saying before, I was not recognized. I was saying if I was seated where you are seated, I was going to say, you know, the House has been adjourned, because what the Minister of Finance has said now, I don't think I can keep up with her in terms of what she has said. But nonetheless, I will try to do my best. Honourable Speaker, honourable members of the House, Cabinet colleagues, esteemed guests, Team Mobility, good afternoon. Goeiemiddag. Middag. Today I rise to table the adjustment appropriation allocation for the Department of Mobility of 80.7 million, which reflects our steadfast commitment to improving our people, to improving the lives of our people, fostering economic growth, and ensuring safer and more efficient transport systems. However, before I delve into the business of the day, I would like to request the indulgence of the Speaker in observing a moment of silence in solidarity of the lives lost this past weekend for the fatal and tragic bus accident that occurred in Worcester. Additionally, yesterday, 2 young males lost their lives, yet in another fatal accident in Mauriceburg area. Can I just ask for a moment of silence, please?
Colleagues, and I will grant the request by the Minister. Can we have a moment of silence? And if you would not mind, can we please stand? Thank you very much. Please be seated.
Thank you very much, Somlomo, and thank you to the honourable members. I am appreciative of the additional 80.7 million funding afforded to the Department of Mobility to support public transport, freight, and road safety initiatives. This investment into our sector is a testament of our government's resolve to address the mobility needs of our communities and to ensure that no one is left behind. Om te verseker dat niemand agtergelaat word nie, strek mobiliteit se insette verby die konvensionele grense om die mense se lewens so maklik as moontlik te maak. A significant portion of this adjustment will be directed towards the enhancement of public transport systems. Public transport remains the backbone of our province's economy, connecting workers to economic opportunities, students to schools and families to one another. The 32 million from revenue retention will be directed to the George Integrated Public Transport Network to continue with the expansion of the Go George bus service to the Thembaletu community. To date, we have seen an average increase in weekday passenger trips from 18,000 to 20,890. The remaining routes from Thembaletu to the Garden Route Mall and the George CBD will ensure that we reach the target of 23,000 passenger trips. In addition, Somlomo, this funding will be utilized to further enhance safety and security on the network by equipping the buses with 150 CCTV cameras with UPS devices. Mobility has a multiplier effect through the Go George expansion. 150 small businesses and entrepreneurs will benefit through the provision of top-up services for passengers. Now, Somlomo, turning our focus to the minibus taxi industry. 29.7 million from the Provincial Asset Finance Reserve and rollovers will be utilized to provide scalable and flexible solutions for the minibus taxi industry. Safety and security remains a concern and challenge in the industry. The incremental introduction of Shaila Smart program, thanks to my predecessor, Honorable Ricardo Mackenzie, for starting the work, will further improve quality, safety, and progressive transformation of the dynamic industry. Shaila Smart is a cause championed and co-funded with the City of Cape Town and has been warmly welcomed by the industry. The first phase of Shaila Smart will focus on the following key outcomes: fitment of vehicles tracking and monitoring systems to enable live tracking of vehicles and enhance driver behavior. Driver registration and training will address a key gap in the regulatory framework. Drivers will need to formally register and will be provided with additional training, focusing on professional driver behavior and customer service. In line with our modal shift efforts, Honorable Speaker, meaning encouraging users to shift from private vehicles to public transport, we will be investigating park and ride services for the Greater Cape Town and Stellenbosch areas. By addressing congestion, we are enhancing quality of life for our residents within the Western Cape. For this amount, 1.6 million will be utilized to finalize the review of the provincial land transport framework and finalize the development of the provincial public transport strategy. Our province is a beacon of hope for the rest of the country, and therefore, inward migration has grown at an alarming rate. People want to live and work in a thriving, functional, and well-run province. An efficient public transport system is therefore key to support our communities and the economy. Non-motorized transport, which entails walking and cycling, is another key focus for the department, specifically for our non-metro areas, like in Beaufort West, where when you ride a bicycle, it becomes your car. This is why we will be directing 1.1 million for non-motorized transport infrastructure in the Mount Pleasant in the Overstrand area. The efficient movement of goods is essential to sustain economic growth and competitiveness. To this end, 1.35 million will be utilized to strengthen the freight and logistic network by championing the following initiatives: the establishment of a WhatsApp communications channel to improve real-time and two-way communication between the container terminal and transporters, a fully feasibility study on the establishment of a transporter representative organization, investigating a business plan for rail-based solution to efficiently and sustainably transport export fruits from key growing areas to the Port of Cape Town, integrating infrastructure, operations, and stakeholders. These initiatives will enable businesses to thrive and support local industries that rely on timely and reliable freight services. Agbare Speaker, padveiligheid is steeds 'n bekommernis in ons provinsie. Te veel mense sterf aan ongelukke en op ons paaie soveel meer se lewens word verander en verwoes. Ons manne en vroue in blou, ons verkeerbeamptes, werk dikwels onder onhoudbare strawe omstandighede en dit is krities belangrik dat hulle die regte toerusting ontvang om hulle funksies ten volle te vervul. Om dit moontlik te maak, het ons 16.4 miljoen for the procurement of tasers, bulletproof vests, and handheld devices. These are critical tools of trade for our officers. Our officers play a vital role in the curbing of road fatalities and injuries, with an audacious goal of halving road fatalities and injuries by 2030. Our officers need to be adequately equipped to deal decisively with road traffic enforcement. As custodians of public funds, Honourable Speaker, we remain committed to the transparent and efficient use of this budget adjustment. We will monitor every project and program to ensure the highest standards of delivery and measurable outcomes are achieved for our citizens within the Western Cape. In conclusion, Honourable Speaker, this adjustment represents more than just numbers on a page. It is an investment to the betterment of residents of our beloved province. By improving public transport, facilitating freight movement, and prioritizing road safety, we are building a province that moves together, grows together, and thrives together. This additional funding will allow us to continue to create a future where mobility is not a barrier, but a bridge for opportunities for all. Ons scanner verantwoordelikheid teenoor die mense van die provinsie is om mobiliteit te laat werk. As ons daarin slaag, sal ons die ekonomie met groeikraag bemagtig. I would like to thank the following: the Premier, my cabinet colleagues for their support during the past few months when I landed in this dynamic portfolio. The immense support from our standing committee chairperson, Professor Nama French Mbombo, and members, Enkosi Dabswe Kandre, Neqembu lakho. The Honorable Gunenzu fondly refers to you as the shop steward of the department. Ukwazile ukundikuma, nondikhusela, ndingatyiwa ngamagwamnqa. A special thank you to the former head of department, Ms. Morisa Moore, for holding my hand in my first 100 days in office. To Team Mobility, under the leadership of the acting HOD, Daryl Jacobs, thank you very much for your continued support and leadership in making a difference in the lives of our residents, and especially to the senior managers since I've arrived in this department. As complicated as it is, with a lot of challenges, we are able to look forward and continue to look at the task at hand so that we can make a difference. I have been saying whenever we meet as a department that whatever we are doing is not about us, but it's about the residents. We can no longer live in a province when people still have to wake up at 3 for a meeting at 8 o'clock. Those are challenges that we are confronted with as the Minister of Mobility. It is indeed not acceptable, as the Premier would always say, that the city of Cape Town is one of the top 10 cities when it comes to congestion. So our challenges are immense, and we need to get the basics right so that we can be true to our residents of the Western Cape. And I'm grateful to have a team that is willing to take the challenge head on. Let us continue to raise the bar, cut out the noise, and dismally disappoint the naysayers. Last but not least, I want to thank my colorful, dynamic, and best ministry. I'm saying colorful because if you go into the ministry, you'll find there are different hairstyles, and probably next year I'll have a blue hairstyle as well. And team, for holding the fort under immense pressure. I do not say thank you often to you for what you are doing, but I would truly be lost if I did not have you. I thank you very much. Enkosi kakhulu. Baie dankie.
Baie dankie, agbare minister. Other members? Other members? Minister, you can respond in your reply to Honorable Barnes. You don't have to do it now. Honorable Ngensu.
Honorable Speaker, members of this House, it was in September 2006 when the SACP and ally of the ANC and COSATU launched a safe, affordable, integrated, and accessible public transport and road safety for all as part of its Red October campaign. This campaign culminated in the launch of the Bus Rapid Transit project in August 2009, spearheaded by the ANC minister, the then Minister Sbuzo Ndebele. The campaign arose from the realization that South Africa's public transport system, particularly in the Western Cape, was in a dire state due to multiple factors. One key issue which remains relevant today is the fact that the majority of South Africans are still confined to apartheid-era townships and rural areas far from employment centers and essential services. As a consequence of that, of CST, colonialism of a special type and apartheid, this lack of integration between housing development and public transport planning continues to affect our communities, leaving workers and the poor stranded in distant locations. As a consequence of that, workers face high transport costs, worsening their already challenging living conditions. The allocation speak of an additional 32 million to address service delivery pressures in the George Integrated Public Transport Network is a crucial step forward in improving the system. However, it is worth noting that the people of Timberlake in George have suffered severe traffic congestion due to the absence of proper planning for a bypass during the construction phase of the project. This oversight has resulted in unnecessary delays and inconvenience as we call on the government to address this concern with urgency. We cannot address the challenges in our public transport system without tackling the issue of the apartheid special planning that remains entrenched in apartheid-era development models. 30 years into democracy, housing and infrastructure developments are still situated far from economic hubs with insufficient regard for public transport needs. The DA-led government, continuing legacy of apartheid special planning, has left many workers and the poor stranded in isolated areas, forcing them to rely on costly and inefficient transport options. Many bus have stepped in to fill the gap, even at the risk of fines and impoundment, but this is not a sustainable solution. The DA-led government has shown its inability to adapt to the changing dynamics of residential and industrial zones, failing to provide transport solutions that align with new housing and commercial development. I dare say emergent operating licenses ought to be provided in these instances. At the core of safe, affordable, reliable, integrated access public transport system lies the need for workers, regardless of their shift, to have access to state-sponsored transport system that is not only affordable but also safe and dependable. This system should guarantee dedicated public transport lanes, ensuring workers can reach their destination on time and return home safely, allowing them to fully participate in SGBs. Speaker, while we acknowledge the DA continuing to implement the BRT system after the ANC lost political power in 2009, we commend them for this. It is not only ANC leaders who inspire people like Batman, but ANC policies too, because BRT system is an ANC program, is an ANC policy. However, it is critical to expand these services to other parts of the city of Cape Town and provinces, including areas like Belleville, Kraaifontein, Hermanus, Central Car, so that more residents can benefit from this.
Honourable Gainsborough, please take your seat. Please take your seat. Honourable Minister Lont, is there a point of order?
Yeah, I just want to check.
What is your point of order?
The translation services doesn't work because I cannot understand what the member is saying when he's speaking. I listened online as well, and I don't think that they're getting the translation right either.
Right. I'll order members. That's a valid point of order. If that is if the table staff can please just make sure with the translation services. Honourable Ngensu, you may continue. Order members.
Speaker, every cent allocated to government departments must be spent effectively, efficient, and economical. Therefore, the practice of rolling over budgets must be addressed, Premier, demanding proper planning and resource management to enhance service delivery and improve the lives of our people. Almost all departments have rollovers. Speaker,
Honourable member, please take your seat. Honourable Premier, is there a point of order? What is your point of order?
Speaker, I'd like to ask the honourable member he would allow me a question on whether the 2 billion rand in Gauteng
Premier, Honourable Premier, that is out of order. So you've asked if the member was prepared to take a question. I have ruled previously that I'm not entertaining any questions across the floor, as I've ruled yesterday. So, honourable member, you may continue.
Speaker, the budget shift of about 47 million from compensation of employees, despite the ongoing personnel crisis within this department and other departments, must be rejected because it's a crisis which is going to haunt us. This shift occurs at a time when unemployment is a ticking time bomb, threatening social stability. This lukewarm approach to strengthening state capacity is a direct manifestation of neoliberal austerity measures, which must be resisted. The government's failure to properly address staffing shortages undermines the quality of service delivery and exacerbates existing challenges. It is essential to acknowledge that a well-resourced public service is crucial for the development and well-being of our province. Thus, we must oppose any budgetary decision that perpetuates industrial austerity and call for greater investment in the people who are central to the public service delivery. Speaker, the shifting of funds, 4.8 million from corporate service, 2.9 million from program support, 7.2 from transport safety, reflects DA's government's skewed priorities. This redistribution demonstrates a focus of elite interest rather than addressing the critical needs of the general public. The failure to invest public safety compliance and essential service directly impacts on these lives. Yet we don't invest on addressing that crisis. Given the prominence of minibus taxis in our province, this budget fails to address the urgent need to build and upgrade taxi ranks to resolve the crisis of identity licensing for both e-hailing and the minibus taxi. The budget lack of attention to these pressing issues reveals inadequacy in addressing the transport needs of these people. Speaker, we must ensure that every cent allocated is spent to improve the lives of South Africans, especially those who depend on affordable, integrated, and safe public transport system. City of Cape
Honourable
Town,
member, your time has expired. Please conclude.
and minibus
Order.
must be resolved if we're to address the challenges we're facing.
Thank you very much, honourable member. Honourable Minister, is that a point of order? Thank you very much, honourable members. I recognize the honourable constable.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, the mobility budget as it stands is on 3.1 billion. However, three things when analyzing this budget. Number one, this budget, Speaker, is urban bias and neglect rural towns. Secondly, there's a lack of support to smaller municipalities through the public operations or the public transport operations grant. Thirdly, Speaker, and this we already discussed in committee and on the annual report, the over-reliance of this department on consultants. There's a massive spending on consultants, and we will deal with that again next year. So, Speaker, the broader implication of this budget is expenditure misalignment. There's a misalignment in expenditure when it comes to the mobility budget. So, MEC, if you want us to support your budget from the Patriotic Alliance perspective, three things that you please do for us. Redirect funding to address the transport infrastructure deficits in rural areas, ensuring connectivity and economic integration. 2, invest in internal departmental skills to reduce consultant dependencies and foster sustainable expertise within your public sector. 3, on your integrated mobility strategy, develop a province-wide mobility master plan that explicitly prioritize underserved communities. For now, Speaker, for now, MEC, the Patriotic Alliance will support your budget and your adjustments, but please, if next year come and you don't do that, we will not support you going forward. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, honourable constable. I recognize the honourable Jacobs.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you. Speaker, the NCC notes the amount of 27.8 million for transport infrastructure development. The NCC will follow this closely, as public transport is the heartbeat of getting the working class to work on time. Speaker, we want to urge the Department of Mobility to make sure that the developments are earmarked for the Cape Flats. Now, Speaker, the MyCity development are happening in Mitchell's Plain now and other areas, but this is 10 years after it was implemented. So let's be honest, it's only because the opposition parties made the comparison on infrastructure between the upper class areas and Mitchell's Plain, for example, but this shouldn't happen again. In closing, we want to ask the MEC to make sure he follows the budget and put measurements in place that will prevent the Mini Cooper gang from working a chunk of this budget to the family account. Sir.
Thank you very much, honourable Jacobs. I now recognize the honourable Professor Mbombo.
Enkosi Somlomo obekekileyo, members of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, nakubahlali baseKapa, ndiphinde kwakhona nam ndaleke kwintuthuzelo xa umphathiswa ebethuthuzela abo balahlekelwe yimiphefumlo kwingozi zendlela. Sinqwenelela nabo basezibhedlele bakwazi into yoba baphile. Futhi sigxininisa kubantu abaqhubayo, including us, ukuba ukuhamba ngesantya, ukuqhuba unxilile, ukuqhuba ubhala, unomyayi, speed, all these kill. Kubahambi ngeenyawo, sugxatazelele endleleni, nxiba umbala wento eza kubonakala kumqhubi ebusuku. Kumagosa endlela, ubongi, oogqirha, the EMS staff and everyone who will be working this festive trying to curb all these road accidents. I salute you. Our prayers are with you. Sithe Nkosi for sacrificing your family time and your safety to serve the communities during this time. Speaker, mobility plays a critical role in the lives of the people, the economy, and our future. Mobility is about more than just the movement of people. It also includes opportunity, accessibility, and sustainability. And for that reason, it is an honor to take part in this budget vote. The Western Cape Mobility Department plays a critical role in the economy of the province, focused on ensuring safe, reliable, and affordable transportation network. I advocate the department's road safety program, which aims to promote safety in society by educating students, drivers, pedestrians, public transport operators, and in essence, the public on safe and responsible transport habits. This adjusted budget, Speaker, our Chair, is strong commitment to tackling the mobility challenges, and the significance of a well-run public transport system cannot be emphasized enough. Public transport in the Western Cape has always been the backbone of our communities, connecting people to jobs, education, healthcare, and other critical services. As we move forward, we must continue to develop and strengthen our public transportation infrastructure. The adjusted budget prioritizes crucial areas for public transportation growth. We applaud the enhanced funding for the extension and maintenance of the My City bus network, as well as the 32 million commitment to meet service delivery pressures associated with the George Integrated Public Transport Network. Chair, we must recognize the critical importance of the rail infrastructure in the Western Cape. I encourage continuous coordination amongst provincial and national stakeholders to ensure that our rail network continues to fulfill community needs. This adjustment budget prioritizes closing the transportation gap between the affluent and underserved communities by boosting the connectivity, unlocking economic opportunities, and empowering individuals while reducing social injustices. Chair, as we face the global climate problem, it is critical for the mobility plan to place a significant emphasis on sustainability. This adjusted budget includes an additional focus on green transportation program, investing in cleaner, greener means of transportation that will help reduce our province's carbon footprint while improving air quality for all residents. Chair, a portion of the funding will go towards the construction of the bicycle lanes, pedestrian walkways, and other active transportation infrastructure. This commitment to developing a transportation network that will be able to accommodate all means of mobility. The more we spend in more non-motorized transportation, the less we will rely on vehicles, thus lowering congestion and pollution. Chair, to maintain commuter safety, the department is prioritizing universal access to public transport services and non-motorized transport, the MT systems, particularly for the disabled and vulnerable groups. Special transportation services such as Dial-a-Ride are currently under consideration to better serve a greater number of persons with disabilities. The department is additionally investigating ways to favor the unemployed, children, and the elderly for more affordable public transport access. Another area of focus is transportation equity. While certain sections of the Western Cape have well-developed transport networks, Many communities face considerable barriers to safe, reliable, and affordable travel options. It is our duty to ensure that transport development is inclusive and accessible to all areas, particularly the rural areas, leaving no anti-SARA behind. One of the objectives I advocate for this department efforts is to improve freight logistics. To support the growth for job strategy, we note that the department will work with other stakeholders to reduce inefficiencies, create models to stimulate private sector investment, and manage growth. Getting citizens to work is part of the Western Cape government's growth for job strategy that aims to boost the province's economy, creating jobs and reducing unemployment. The unemployed job research shows that the high cost of transportation is a key obstacle to finding work, and recent rises in the fuel and prices and public transportation fares have made this even more difficult. Providing free travel vouchers remove these barriers, allowing job seekers to find the work they greatly need. I also, Speaker, I also want to raise my concern also over the recent taxi shootings that happened in Vryheid. Without going deeper, I also want again to make sure that the minibus taxi task team still continues. Speaker, lastly, this adjusted budget represents a comprehensive and forward-thinking approach to mobility in the province. It is an investment in the Western Cape's transportation infrastructure. The financing of public transportation, sustainable mobility, job creation, and skill development will assist to keep the Western Cape at the forefront of South Africa's transport innovation. While we welcome the progress made, we need to be attentive and committed to ensure that the measures are implemented effectively and timelessly. Transport challenges are enormous, but I saw the potential. Let us continue to move forward, united, in a goal to be connected, sustainable, and prosperous. Having said, Speaker, I just want to thank the Standing Committee that is always has been vocal. Sibulele, Nakututuse, Umphatiswa, and all other colleagues in the SC. Also reminding all of us colleagues that we're also using the roads. Please be safe out there, and also please be kind. Everyone's are dealing with their own issues. Let's show some kindness and also no aggression in the road. I want to thank the department. I understand he's a 1-year-old, but next day he will no longer be 1-year-old. So the standing committee might have been doing their inverted commas, I'm quoting, the listening and learning on the mobility. Come next year, he won't be able to do that, but we wish you all the best. Thank you very much. The DA supports the vote.
Thank you very much, Honorable Professor Mbombo. I now recognize the Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think it's important that I start with Member Jacobs. And I want to caution him and ask him nicely that we need to stop calling officials by names that is developed somewhere within my department by referring to the Mini Cooper gang. I don't have a Mini Cooper gang within my department. And I don't entertain gossip. If there is gossip, you entertain gossip, I don't entertain gossip. And I want to tell all the other members, as much as you are gossiping, because there was a particular email sent to all of you without any proof or evidence in terms of the allegations. And we have been asking for proof and no one has been coming forth. But instead of trying to assist us as a department, you are breaking this particular department, you are breaking officials. Can you just imagine when I can make an allegations against you and your children are watching this particular sitting? You know, so
members.
we must be very careful as much as we have freedom of speech, but to, you know, to say things about people without proof is actually breaking people. And I need to caution the colleagues in terms of that. And also, thank you very much to Member Nwensu. On the issue of spatial planning and spatial transformation. It happens on municipal level. You know, what is the difference between the Democratic Alliance when they are in government and the African National Congress when they're in government? We try to address spatial planning. Instead of when we're in government, we end up looting. The ANC loots. They don't deal with spatial transformation and spatial planning. And then when they come here and they try to play as if they know it all. Because your priorities when you're in government are very skewed. And then you come here and try to, project yourself as you are addressing the issues of the poor of the poor. And also, let's go to the element of impoundments. I don't write any media statements about impoundments. I don't entertain issues of impoundments. But you'll find there are members, whenever there is a leak somewhere or there is a footage on social media about impoundments, they, without understanding the reasons for that particular impoundment, they will go all out and try to make it a political tool. And I need to tell the colleagues as well, we deal with issues on impoundments, and if there are concerns, during our meetings of the minibus taxi task team, there we deal with these issues. All stakeholders that have a role to play in terms of mobility within our province. And there are issues of clarity that you want to know from a particular sphere of government, like the city when it comes to impoundments. Those issues are addressed there. And the issues of impoundment were addressed. And when people impound, they impound based on what they have agreed on in the minibus taxi task team. Unfortunately, some of us are not there. But we just like to, entertain gossip. And we are not in the space of entertaining gossip because understanding our role in terms of making sure there is mobility works for everyone.
Minister, can you please take your seat? Honorable Ngento, are you rising on a point of order?
Presiding officer, is the MEC prepared to take a question on this question of empowerment of minibus taxis?
Member Ngento, the speaker previously indicated in terms of questions. Can you please maintain order? Minister, please proceed.
Thank you. Chair, before we had our first standing committee meeting, I invited all members of the Standing Committee of Mobility, and everybody has my cell number. So if you want to engage with me, you're more than welcome to do that. We can engage. We can have coffee. We can have tea. You don't have to use this platform because it's going to take longer. So, and then we will deal with those questions. And in terms of the rollover budgets and the shifting of funds, I think the Minister of Finance, adequately addressed those issues. I'm not going to interfere in your space. You did a great job in terms of that. No, then let's go to my homes, Honorable Constable. Honorable Constable, I did actually mention the review of the Provincial Land Transport Framework.
Order, members.
And also the process of the Provincial Public Transport Strategy. And I need to tell you also and try and say to you and assure you, as a person that was born and raised in Beaufort West, I am passionate about rural access. So whenever we are busy with policies, we would make sure that there is provision made for rural access. That's why you'll find when we launch our safety plan for the festive season, we shifted away from the city of Cape Town and we went to Mauriceburg. There is a specific reason for that, because we are a province and we're a department for the whole province. So you can rest assured, we are looking at making sure that the rural areas also benefit and they can identify within our ministry. Also, in terms of capacity, I can assure you that the Department of the Premier and the department are actually in the process of looking at the redesign of our organizational structure. And Chairperson, thank you very much for your leadership. It can show because at times within our meetings, there are members that will go left, and then because of your capabilities, you will bring them to the center so that they can focus at the work at hand. And I would also want to appreciate your good wishes in terms of what we are doing and recognizing as much as we are a small department or a young department, but with all the challenges. But at least we are trying to deal with the issues that affects the majority of the people within this province. And also, lastly, this narrative that there is bad blood between the ministry and the minibus taxi task team. Daar is alleen. Dat gaat niet gebeuren nie. There is great working relations. And then if you want to see our commitment towards the minibus taxi industry, we have made provision during our adjustment budget to start with the first phase of Shaila Smart. As a standing committee of mobility, we gave you an opportunity. A presentation was done on Shaila Smart so that you can grasp what Shaila Smart wants to achieve and where we are heading with Shaila Smart. Bear with us, work with us, and stop causing conflict between us and the minibus taxi industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Seleku. That concludes the debate on this vote. Honorable members, please bear with us. I will just give the department an opportunity to vacate the box. Order, members, the House are still in session. Member Nkenso. Thank you very much, honorable members. The secretary will now read the sixth order of the day.
Debate on vote 2, Provincial Parliament, Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill.
Thank you very much. I recognize the honorable speaker.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Premier, Provincial Cabinet members, leaders of political parties, honourable members of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, departmental officials, and citizens of the Western Cape. It is indeed a huge privilege for me as the Speaker to present the adjusted budget for the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, and I'm looking forward to robust engagement from all our members to ensure clarity on the way we are governing our institution with the assistance of key stakeholders such as the Parliamentary Oversight Committee, our senior management teams, as well as our internal and external sources. The adjustment estimates pertaining to vote 2 that I present today are presented against the backdrop of a severely constrained fiscal environment. Honourable Presiding Officer, the financial reality the country as a whole finds itself in is what this budget is based upon or against this backdrop. As a legislative institution with the smallest budget in the country, we are used to do more with less. Even with the smallest budget, Chair, we are proud to be a leading institution in the legislative family, in the country, and indeed the region. In terms of the existing budgetary regime that we as the Western Cape Provincial Parliament are part of, we have to negotiate very robustly to receive our fair share of the cake, mindful that we are grouped and, in a way, competing with the large service delivery departments in the province for resources to fulfill our mandate. First and foremost, the Western Cape Provincial Parliament remains committed to fulfilling its mandate to effectively and efficiently as a responsive, citizen-centric institution with a robust approach to lawmaking, oversight, and involvement of the citizens of our province. Honourable Chair, the fact that we have our first ever State of the Province address and the debate thereon in the central Karoo town of Beaufort West is testament to our resolve to bringing Parliament closer to the people, Honourable Van Vogel. And Honourable Chair, a new draft strategic plan has been tabled on Friday, setting out the pathway of our journey over the next 4 years, and is a product of serious internal reflection and comprehensive involvement of our members and key stakeholders to ensure that we do deepen democracy and ultimately make a positive difference to the citizens we were elected to serve. Honourable Chair, the upcoming 5-year planning period will be guided by a comprehensive set of policies and strategies, ensuring that every aspect of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament's operation align with its broader strategic direction and vision.
With the resources at our disposal, the Western Cape Provincial Parliament shall continue to embrace innovation and modernization in order to establish a credible, transparent, and accountable parliament underpinned by the values we adhere to as an institution, and to remain at the forefront of being a leading parliament in our region. Honourable Chair, furthermore, we shall continue to adapt and change to improve on the delivery of services to our members and to the public at large. Honourable Chair, I'm confident that as the executive authority, as well as the administrative body under the management of the Secretary, have the necessary internal structures in place to effectively deal with all aspects of our mandate, both from policy and an administrative perspective. As the executive authority supported by the administration, we account to our respective structures with the realization that the provincial parliament is the ultimate authority which will guide us on this journey. Honourable Chair, sometimes matters take longer than desired, but it is important that matters such as risks, legal compliance, financial implications, and operational requirements are always considered thoroughly before decisions are made by those empowered to make such decisions. Honourable Chair, I wish to thank the members for their support to me as the Speaker in my role as the Executive Authority and as the Chief Presiding Officer and custodian of our rules and orders, and then as the employer of the staff of the Provincial Parliament, as well as being your representative in our relations with interested persons and bodies, both internationally and nationally. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the budget has been presented to the POC, and I wish to take this point to thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for your continuous support throughout the beginning and the start of the 7th administration. Honourable Chair, let me move to the WCP budget that has been decreased by 63,000 Rand from 258.133 million. That includes the direct charge, leaving the WCPP with an adjusted appropriation of 258 million. Honourable Chair, an amount of 5.745 million in respect of the underspending on voted funds, and an amount of 747,000 in respect of over-collected own revenue that will be rolled over to the 23-24 financial year into the MTEF. To alleviate funding pressures, WCPP has revoted underspending from the 2024-2025 financial year to the 2025-26 and 2026-2027 financial year to partially cover the additional funding need. The Western Cape Provincial Parliament therefore made provision in this adjusted budget for a 1.864 million underspend that is broken up into 1.52 million for the 2025-2026 financial year and 344,000 for the 2026-2027 financial year from the current budget to mitigate for the additional funding shortages. Honourable Chair, the rollover of the 2023-2024 financial year was mainly allocated as follows. In Programme 1, under Governance and Administration, 1.659 million. Programme 2, under Parliamentary Support Services, 65,000 Rand that was rolled over. Programme 3, under Public Engagement, 77,000 Rand that was rolled over. And with that being said, Chair, as I highlighted, the Western Cape Provincial Parliament tables this budget today. Well, I tabled this budget on behalf of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, knowing that there's still many challenges, many things that we are in the process of changing, but at the cornerstone of our decision-making, the credibility of this institution being the cornerstone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I now recognize the Honourable Barnes. Order, members. Just bear with Member Barnes. Order, members. Order, members. Member Barnes, you may proceed.
Linyanga yomama mandibulele wena njengomama ohleli pha. Ndithathe nethuba lokubulela uMr. Doman for iminyaka azinikezele ukusebenza kule ndlu yowiso-mthetho. Mr. Doman, on behalf of the African National Congress, we are very grateful for the dedication of years that you've spent serving this house. I think when we look back, you have covered so many years. I don't know how to thank you. We are grateful for you. We are grateful as this side of the benches. We have nothing to offer but our appreciation that is very genuine. You've been the best carrier of the maize. We've been watching you. Thank you. Chairman, on behalf of the ANC, we categorically reject the proposed budget. It undermines the legislature's ability to serve the people of the Western Cape by weakening our constitutional mandate of oversight, lawmaking, and public participation. This debate occurs on the 16 days of activism against the abuse of women and children, a campaign that highlights the pressing need for accountability in combating gender-based violence. Tragically, our legislature mirrors society failures. Despite numerous cases of GBV and sexual harassment raised within the walls of this chamber, in the presence of the government leaders, meaningful action has been absent. Premier Windy and MEC Bradell have consistently failed to hold perpetrators such as Feral Payne and Graham Polter accountable. By oversight capacity, this budget perpetuates a culture of impunity.
Order, members.
Oversight is enshrined in the Constitution and central to the institution. Yet the Western Cape Provincial Legislature has become increasingly ineffective in this. Municipality, especially the city of Cape Town, routinely ignored questions from members from this house. Even worse, committees have been reluctant to subpoena municipalities to appear before them, allowing them to evade accountability. We as elected representatives of the people have a constitutional duty to ensure that these bodies are held accountable, especially when they fail to address critical issues such as raw sewage being dumped on our beaches, leaving them unsafe for the public. Instead, we are told that the sewage is traveling from KZN down Eastern Cape and come and parks here in Cape Town. How can we be reduced to that? The DA continues to shield municipalities from this responsibility, refusing to take action or even compel them to appear before our committees. The city of Cape Town also faces serious allegations of corruption and collusion with the construction mafia. Yet, WCP has not investigated. Concerns about the Department of Mobility capture by the so-called Mini Cooper gang have been ignored. Instead, today, they are being represented by MEC on their behalf. Speaker, MEC instead of pursuing accountability, MEC Simmers wrote to me seeking information as if I were the whistleblower. I have written to the SCOPA chair where it belongs. If MEC Simmers seeks further details, he should consult the whistleblower directly and not make me the spokesperson of the whistleblower. Attempts to silence us will fail. We are a revolutionary movement where we have been taught to resist suppression and intimidation. It won't happen with us.
Apologies,
we will
member.
name and we will shame
Member
wrongdoers
Barnes.
without fear or favor.
Member Barnes, my apologies. Can you please take your seat? Members on my right, can I please ask for discipline and for the sake of progress, give the speaker the opportunity to engage on the vote, please. Can I ask the very same discipline on the colleagues of Member Barnes as well? Thank you, Member. Please proceed.
Attempts, Chair, to silence us will fail. Our revolutionary movement has taught us to resist oppression. We will name and shame wrongdoing with no fear and no favor, fulfilling our duty as an effective opposition. The DA should prepare for 5 years of hard truths,
The ANC has urged Scopa's chairperson to investigate these allegations, yet we await on action. I'm not sure after this morning when the Scopa chairperson becomes the spokesperson also of the DA, if our request is on good hands. We hope that the DA light member, Honorable Christians, will stop using his position to defend the interests of the DA and instead fulfill the constitutional duty as an oversight body. He must investigate these allegations. These failures are compounded by the fact that this budget continues to undermine our ability to fulfill our oversight function. Despite a shortfall in staff, which only 105 employees instead of the approved 180 as reported in the annual report, this budget proposes a cut of 3.8 million in compensation of employees allocation. This is not a prudent financial decision. It is a deliberate weakening of our oversight capacity. How can we hold the executive accountable when we are stripped of the resources necessary to perform our duties? Instead of addressing the staffing shortfall, the savings from the vacant posts are being used to fund non-essential expenses such as strategic planning sessions and unbudgeted subscriptions. These are not priorities for WCPP. Our priority should be strengthening our oversight function. Moreover, the budget slashes over 2 million from critical programs like parliamentary support services, Chair, the engagement and member support. How can we justify these reductions when they directly impact our constituents? The wasteful expenditure on unconstitutional powers bill also demands scrutiny. Despite legal advice deeming the bill unconstitutional, Speaker permitted costly public hearings. This reckless decision squandered funds better allocated.
Can you please conclude? Your time has expired.
We cannot support and endorse a budget that undermines our democratic function. Adequate resourcing of WCCP is vital to uphold our constitutional mandate.
Thank you, Member Barnes. I recognize the Honorable Petrus.
Thank you, Presiding Officer.
Order,
Presiding Officer,
members.
we as a PA, we understand that this funding is far from enough to solve the problems of the Western Cape. Die PA sal echter voortgaan om te beywer vir meer befondsing en hulpbronne vir kritiese area in die administrasie van die Wes-Kaapse regering. Die mense van die Wes-Kaap het ons almal hier 'n mandaat gegee om probleme aan te spreek. Ons moet egter ophou om ander te blameer as ons nie kan voorsien aan dit wat ons aan die kiesers beloof het nie. Voorsitter, vir die PA moet die befondsing, alle befondsing wat ons gee, 'n positiewe uitkoms wees vir bemagtiging en ontwikkeling van alle gemeenskappe in die Wes-Kaap. PA wens alle mense van die Wes-Kaap 'n vreedsame en voorspoedige vakansie toe. En ek wil hiermee ook meneer Douman voorspoed toewens met sy tyd en sy toekoms. Baie dankie.
Baie dankie, lid Petrus. I recognize the Honorable Jacobs.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, noting that the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, amongst other tasks, develop legislation and public participation. The NCC would like to see a greater shift towards taking Parliament to the people. Speaker, the demographics of this province is a unique one, and we owe it to the people to allow communities to experience at least an opportunity to engage directly with members from Provincial Parliament and get a better understanding as to what is the role of Provincial Parliament. Speaker, many of our people are still confused and continue to blame national government for the failure of provincial government. For an example, die kinders kry nie plek in die skool nie. Hey, is die ANC? But it's not like that. Speaker, let's allow the budget to
accountability. The responsibility of this legislature is first and foremost to ensure the needs of the people of the Western Cape are represented in everything we do. Honourable Chairperson, the looting of state funds by the African National Congress could only happen because Parliament at national level, with its ANC majority, failed to fulfill its mandate, as it's written in the Zondo Commission. Oversight is the core of good governance. Government activities must come under scrutiny by honest public representatives. who are elected through the mechanisms provided for in parliaments and in legislatures. It is rich that the Honourable Barnes, through you, Chairperson, speaks on the cost of employees and masquerades as a representative of the workers when the ANC in the Western Cape Provincial Parliament's employees are currently challenging them at the CCMA. Poor workers. In this House, we do not allow government free rein, and we have the systems and the administrative capacity in place to enable us as public representatives to fulfill our role.
Can you please take your seat? Minister Mackenzie, is that a point of order?
I do apologize, House Chairman. I didn't hear the last part properly. And I can repeat himself.
I'm very happy to repeat what I said was it's rich through you, Honourable Chairperson, that Honourable Barnes speaks of the cost of employees and masquerades as a representative of the workers when the African National Congress in the Western Cape Provincial Parliament's employees are currently squaring off against them in the CCMA. We understand.
Honourable Bosman, can I please ask you to take your seat? Minister Mackenzie, that was not a point of order. Please don't rise on frivolous points. Can I please ask both sides of the House to give the Speaker on the floor an opportunity to engage on the vote, please? Members.
Honourable Chairperson, we understand the separation between party and state. And when we conduct oversight, our responsibility is not to our respective political parties, but to the people of this province. Everything the Western Cape government does is subject to the oversight by this provincial parliament and its respective standing committees. I'm astounded that a member of this parliament can say that we are ineffective. But that is perhaps only because the ANC is ineffective in their diminished role as an opposition party. It is only through asking tough questions and analyzing the answers that we are able to identify when something isn't right. But in order to ask questions, you have to show up and you have to read and you have to prepare. The Western Cape Provincial Parliament has spent years refining and improving its capacity to enable members to hold government to account. We see this every day in the smooth running of sittings, committee meetings, and the oversight visits that we embark on, as well as the regular submission of parliamentary questions to the executives and those executive members answering those questions to members. Honourable Chairperson, the Western Cape's record of clean governance is built on an effective legislature. Every piece of legislation that passes through this House is subject to the same level of scrutiny. The Provincial Parliament provides support. It provides the support that the House requires to ensure meaningful public participation takes place across this province for the bills that will affect the people of this province. Everything runs on a tight schedule.
Order, members.
And the professional staff in the Western Cape Provincial Parliament ensures that due process is followed. The Western Cape advertises its activities and ensures that members of the public have access to the proceedings of the House through the live streaming of sittings and committee meetings on YouTube. And we now know that these live streams are available free of charge. Honourable Chairperson, I want to say this Parliament runs on a tight schedule. And it's perhaps why members of the opposition miss things regularly, because they're never on time.
Member Bosman, please take your seat. Can I please ask members on my left, can you please stop with the ongoing commentary? It is Member Van Vogel. It is a bit late in the day to be naming members. I did do so previously, member. Can I please ask for your cooperation? Thank you very much. Please proceed, Honourable Bosman.
Through you, Honourable Chairperson, my dear friend, Honourable Van Vogel, misses me dearly as well. An accessible parliament creates an opportunity for the public to be informed about what their government is doing and to build trust in our public institutions. Something that has perhaps been eviscerated at a national level through the years of ANC-led corruption. We saw it today when members of the Witzenberg community was here to listen to ministers respond through their own words. But Honourable Chairperson, in these tough fiscal conditions, the WCPP has seen a small reduction in its budget. I am, however, confident that the administration will ensure that this does not affect the smooth running of operations. The adjusted allocation of 16.5 million for public engagement will help ensure that more of our residents and young people have the opportunity to learn about the inner workings of Parliament. Knowledge is power, and by educating our people on how their government functions, we can ensure the power they hold when casting their vote. This is one of the keys to a well-functioning democracy, and I'm glad that the WCPP is working so hard through the public engagement department to make sure that we are educating our voters. Chairperson, I want to thank the members of the Parliamentary Oversight Committee for their collaboration in the committee. I'd also like to extend the thanks to the professional staff in the Western Cape Provincial Parliament for their brilliant work to ensure that members can fulfill their duties effectively and on time. A special thank you to Ms. Kamish Ahmad, our procedural officer, for her support. She plays a key role in upholding democracy in the Western Cape. Chairperson, I'd like to conclude by calling on all members of this House to support this vote, as it's in the best interest of the people of the Western Cape. We must ensure that our legislature has the resources it needs to maintain the level of excellence that we have. And we must continue to innovate and improve going forward. The Western Cape Provincial Parliament serves as an example to other provincial legislatures around the country. Let's make sure that that continues. Chairperson, on behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I support this vote.
Thank you very much, Honourable Bosman. I now recognize the Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. Chair, I'm going to respond in the following manner, because it's always very difficult to respond to political statements as the Speaker, because when I go back to that chair, all members expect me to be fair and impartial. So I'm not going to respond to the political statements that was made. But what I do want to respond to is three things. Chair, I want to start with Honourable Jacobs when he speaks about public engagement and the importance of the citizens of this province knowing what the role of Parliament is, the inner workings of Parliament, who the members of Parliament is, and what we do here and why they have elected us. I know that the public education and outreach, with the limited resources and staff that they have, continuously rolls out programs across this province. On every single chairperson, every single engagement that is undertaken by that unit, all members of this Parliament gets invited to. Honourable Chair, I want to say it on record today that if there's 2 or 3 members that actually participates in that program, it's a lot. I want to take this opportunity to encourage members to take part in those public education and outreach programs. It is our constitutional mandate to facilitate public engagement, to ensure that we ultimately strengthen democracy in this province. So I want to once again appeal that the members please participate and support that unit. There's a small team that is absolutely committed to ensuring that the citizens of Parliament, the citizens of this province are educated or empowered with what the role of Parliament is. With regards to, Chair, I think it would be remiss of me not to respond to 1 or 2 things that Honourable Barnes have mentioned. And I want to start with the oversight functionality or the oversight mechanism in Parliament and how oversight is being conducted over the members of the executive. Now, Chair, I mean, Honourable Barnes have been here previously, so we're all clear on the mandates and constitutional roles and responsibilities of members of Parliament over the executive. And I think it is important to refer the member to the rules and the Constitution. Oversight over municipalities is not the role of a member of the Provincial Parliament. We have oversight over the Minister of Local Government, and I'm using municipalities because municipalities were mentioned. We have the Parliament has a duty to hold the Minister in his ministerial capacity accountable and his department. But this continuous, and I think I've answered or I've communicated this on numerous occasions. Chair, the same with the Powers Bill that has been mentioned. sitting after sitting, and then as the speaker, you can't respond to it. It is the duty of Parliament and as parliaments to process any bill that is referred to Parliament. Parliament as an institution does not adjudicate on the content of the bill before it gets to decide what gets referred or not. So whatever the content is, and whether you agree or disagree, it will be processed by Parliament. You cannot place a financial put a financial amount to democracy in this country. There's people that have died for the privilege that we have today for participatory democracy, and that is one mechanism that we in this institution, for as long as I'm here, will ensure that that is enhanced and empowered, and members will be empowered to submit bills, and we will process it. The same with, and I think I've answered this in the Parliamentary Oversight Committee. The same with oversight into oversight in the province. There is no amount of money that can justify public participation and democracy or deepening democracy in this province. So when it comes to oversight and taking Parliament to the people, that is something that I'm absolutely passionate about, that I will defend regardless of the cost associated to it. People have fought and died for this privilege to participate in the democracy that we have today, Chair. And then, Chairperson, I hear the request or the comments made by Honourable Petrus from the Patriotic Alliance, and I just want to touch on the cost of employment, because there's this perception or this notion that when there's a post that is funded that is not filled, that it's because we do not fund, or we do not fill the post because we want to reallocate the funds somewhere else. No, that's not the case, because then we would have done it in the main budget. When a post is funded, we fund the post for the entire financial year. And sometimes it takes longer than 1 or 2 or 3 months, depending on the skill set, to fill the vacancy. So in that 3 or 4 months that the post is not filled, that money becomes a saving, and then it gets reallocated in this process that we are engaging today, in the adjustment budgets, to enhance the work of the institution. Chairperson, then before I get to the thank yous, I think I would again be remiss of me not to remind members that this is our Parliament. Each member, regardless of the political party that you represent, when we come to Parliament, it's all 9 political parties that makes up the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. And when we engage and we communicate with one another, may we never ever forget that. It can never be that this institution or this house degenerates into a gossip shop, a talk shop, and a session where people say random things about random people, where people are saying things about officials and that you hear on the street, or politicians are being used to drive certain narratives. It can never be that we use this house that people are watching, the 7.4 million citizens that empower us. With freedom of speech comes great responsibility, Honourable Nkondlo. And we must never, ever, ever allow Parliament or the Western Cape Provincial Parliament to degenerate to that point where it becomes no longer about our constitutional mandates of lawmaking, because that's why we are elected, oversight of the executive, and public participation. We need to ensure that we strengthen those constitutional mandates and responsibilities. The same way, I'm not using this platform today to politicize it, because I respect the House and I respect the work of this House. So, Chairperson, with that being said, I want to take this opportunity to thank the chairperson of the Parliamentary Oversight Committee and even Honourable Barnes from the as a committee member and the entire committee. Thank you very much for the robust engagements.
Order, members.
Robust.
Member Nkontlo and Member Barnes, can we please maintain order?
Check.
Honourable
Can you protect
members,
me?
please take your seat, Speaker. Harte uitgepraat. Thank you very much. Please proceed, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And then to the Parliamentary Oversight Committee, thank you very much for the robust engagement that we have, for the tough questions that we are asked, and for the manner in which we can engage. Again, the oversight mechanism and the oversight capacity is there and it's strengthened, and I welcome that. Chair, it will be remiss of me not to thank in his absence the secretary and the team of WCPP. Thank you very much for the work that you do on a daily basis. Thank you very much for the sacrifices to the citizens of this beautiful province. I really do appreciate it, and I think I can speak on behalf of all members when I say thank you for the work that goes on into the workings of Parliament, and thank you for strengthening, especially after an election year where there's brand new members trying to find their feet. So thank you for that. And then last but not least, to my office, thank you very much to Lorica and the team for the work that you do on a daily basis to strengthen my hand in order to be the best speaker that I can possibly be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. And that concludes the debate on this vote. I will give an opportunity to vacate, unless you want to stay. Thank you very much. Order, members, I will now ask the secretary that will read the 7th order of the day.
Consideration of votes and schedules, Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill.
Thank you very much, honourable members. Honourable members, I have to announce that there are currently 41 members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore for it. Parties have an option to make a declaration now to cover all the votes, or to make declaration on each vote individually. Can I just get an indication from the Chief Whips if it's going to be all the votes? All the votes. All the votes, okay. Are there any objections to votes 1 to 14 and the schedules of the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill? There is an objection. All those in favour of the votes and schedules of the Western Cape Appropriation Bill being adopted, please say yes. Those not in favour of the votes and schedules of the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill being adopted, please say no.
No.
I think the ayes have it. Votes and schedule of the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill has therefore been adopted. Honourable Petrus, I recognise your hand. think it's a legacy hand. We will continue. The secretary will read the 8th order of the day.
Speaker is heeltemal reg. Jy het dit klaar afgehandel. Is reg so.
Right, thank you.
Finalization of the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill, including the clauses and short title.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Honourable the Minister of Finance.
Dankie eerbare spreker. Ek vra dat hierdie eerbare huis asseblief die Wes-Kaapse aansuiveringsbegrotingswetsontwerpwet 2 van 2024 asseblief finaliseer. Baie dankie.
Thank you very much. There being no list of speakers, are there any objections to the bill, clauses and short title being finalized? There is an objection. I have to announce that there are currently 41 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. Now there's 40. There is now 41. Honourable members, this is important because this is very, very important. I ask you that you please do not leave the chamber while the voting process is underway. Honourable members, I have to announce that there are currently 41 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. Those in favour of the bill, the clauses, and the short title being finalised, please say yes. Those not in favour of the bill, the clauses, and the short title being finalised, please say no. I think the ayes have it. The finalisation, including clauses and the short title of the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill B2 of 2024 is therefore approved. The names of the individual members present and their support or otherwise for the question before the House will be recorded in the minutes of the proceedings to ensure a full record of the voting on this bill. The Secretary will read the bill.
Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill.
The bill will be sent to the Premier for assent. The Secretary will read the 8th order of the day.
Consideration of the report of the Budget Committee on the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill B13 2024 in COP.
The House received the report of the Budget Committee on the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP not to support this bill. The mandate has been sent to the NCOP. I will now afford parties an opportunity to make a declaration if they so wish. I recognize the ANC.
Nkosi Somlo, the ANC supports the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, and we do so despite our reservations of the observed budgeting practices of the DA-led provincial government, which remain out of step with the economic challenges of its poorest citizens, as explained by the Municipal Economic Review Outlook. While the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill seeks to make the most of constrained fiscal resources, the Western Cape Province, which often complains about insufficient funding from the fiscus, is showing signs of spending that require scrutiny. The failure to utilize the funds allocated within the fiscal year, returning them and calling them savings or rolling them over for future years. This pattern of spending and inefficacy undermines the credibility of budgeting in running public affairs in this province. However, the ANC welcomes the conditional grants allocated to the Western Cape government, especially the 1.2 billion in disaster and infrastructure funding. This includes 947 million for infrastructure reconstruction related to disasters between December 2023 and July 2024. And 251 million for the Western Cape Rapid Schools Build program. part of the broader 2.5 billion for school infrastructure over the 2024 MTEF. These grants will support key projects such as the Comprehensive Agricultural Support Program grant, Education Infrastructure grant, Health Facility Revitalization grant, and Provincial Roads Maintenance grant. We hope these funds will be managed effectively to address urgent infrastructure needs in the province. We further welcome the commitment of National Treasury to come back early next year to explain the reforms national government is undertaking to respond to the constructive engagements about equitable share within the frame of growth and balancing redress in as far as equitable distribution of the resources of the country. Therefore, the ANC supports the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill and do so within the call for greater scrutiny, transparency and responsibility in how the provincial government manages these funds. We will continue to fight for better, more effective use of resources to ensure that no community is left behind. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kondlo. I recognize the Patriotic Alliance.
Speaker, dankie. Die PA se posisie is op rekord tydens die komitee vergadering. Ons het dit so op skrif ook gesit, Speaker, dat ons ondersteun die bil. Ons redes is daar en ek vra dat ons redes so op rekord geplaas word, Speaker.
Baie dankie, agbare Petrus. I recognize the Economic Freedom Fighters. The EFF.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill is not a proper way to allocate the 2.1 trillion, of which 1.4 trillion goes to national government, 600.4 billion to provinces, and 101 billion to municipalities across the country. Speaker, in an era of extreme budget cuts, there is nothing that the Division of Revenue does in order to address service delivery concerns and tackle poverty, which our people are subjected to. As things stand under the current Division of Revenue, much of the diversified
Honorable Kasim, we have order. Honorable Kasim, we cannot hear you.
Sorry,
Honorable
Speaker,
Kasim.
my sound muted. Apologies. As things stand under the current Division of Revenue, much of the diversified economic activity only takes place in 3 metros based in Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Western Cape, which provinces such as the North, West, Mpumalanga, and Limpopo mostly rely primarily on agriculture and mining without more. And this Division of Revenue does nothing to address this problem. Speaker, despite receiving the least budget allocation compared to national government and provincial governments, the municipalities which constitute local government are currently under pressure as they are failing to service the indigent households due to a lack of adequate funds. Speaker, the current Division of Revenue framework is based on basis operating model and misconception which assume that municipalities will sell water, provision of sanitation and electricity to people, and thereby collecting the much needed revenue in the process in order to administer service delivery in the respective jurisdictions. However, the reality is that this model is not that is due to the fact that the majority of our people are unemployed, poor, and cannot afford municipal services despite needing them. Only 8 metropolitan municipalities account for more than 70% of collected revenue out of the 257 municipalities which are tasked with providing for the bulk of key services to our local communities. In conclusion, Speaker, it is just a matter of time before the majority of municipalities in South Africa collapse and not able to operate again due to some flawed division of revenue, which is administered at the national level. For these reasons, the EFF will not be supporting this bill. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kasim. I recognize the NCC.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, throughout history, it has been the inaction of those that could have acted, ignorance of those that should have known better, and the silence of the voice of justice when it mattered the most. Please let this budget speak to the poor. We support.
Thank you very much. The Freedom Front Plus.
Speak on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus, we support the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, and we want the Western Cape always to receive that which is fair towards the people of the Western Cape. And so with that being said, we support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I recognize Al-Jamaa. Order members. Al-Jamaa. Order members, in the absence, I can't see if Honorable Brinkhuis is online. If not, I'm going to continue the ACDP.
Speaker, the ACDP do not support the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill. I thank you.
Order, thank you very much. I recognize Good. I've received an apology from Honorable Heron, the Democratic Alliance.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, I rise to oppose the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, which fails to address the unique needs of the Western Cape and risk harming the citizens that we serve. Honourable Speaker, firstly, the fiscal constraints imposed by this
Honourable Johnson, please take your seat. Honourable Side, is that a point of order?
No, is the Honourable Johnson willing to take a question?
There is no
now
question.
Now that we're ending and wrapping up.
There is, honourable members, there is no question time during declaration time. I mean, there's different mechanisms. You can use another parliamentary rules mechanism. We just finished that discussion. All right, I think we still have a few more orders on the agenda, colleagues. So I please ask that you work with me. I recognize you, Honourable Johnson.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, the fiscal constraints imposed by the bill are unsustainable. The Western Cape faces severe budget cuts, including a 8.4 billion carry-through reduction effect in 2021 and 2024 of our provincial equitable share, while experiencing rapid population growth. This underfunding threatens essential services like health, education, and social development, which national government still refuses to classify social workers as fully fledged frontline services. The equitable share formula does not account for population growth or increasing service delivery demands, leaving critical gaps in funding. Additionally, the bill does little to reduce social grant dependency or foster sustainable economic growth, neglecting the province's most vulnerable communities. Education funding under this bill is also inadequate. Allocation failed to ensure schools are equipped with the necessary resources to improve outcomes. Infrastructure funding, such as provincial road maintenance grants, is insufficient to address the state of disrepair in rural transport networks vital to economic activity. Climate change remains a pressing challenge. Allocation for resilience and bulk water infrastructures are insufficient, leaving municipalities vulnerable to water shortages and extreme weather events. Finally, Honourable Speaker, regional infrastructure grants fail to address disparities across the province, leaving smaller municipalities struggling to meet the basic needs. This bill exacerbates inequalities, imposes unsustainable fiscal constraints, and fails to provide adequate resources for critical services and infrastructure. This is why the Democratic Alliance does not support the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill and demands a more equitable allocation of resources to meet the needs of the Western Cape. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honourable Johnson. Honourable members, I have to announce that there are currently 40 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. The question put before the House that the report of the Budget Committee on the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP not to support this bill be ratified and adopted. Are there any objections? There is an objection. All those in favor of the report being ratified and adopted, please say aye.
Those not in favor of the report being ratified and adopted, please say no. I think the ayes have it, and the question is therefore approved. The report of the Budget Committee on the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill has therefore been adopted. The Secretary will read the 10th order of the day.
Consideration of report of the Standing Committee on Social Development on the Older Persons Amendment Bill B11D 2022, dated 3 December, ratification of final mandate.
Order. The House received the report of the Standing Committee on Social Development on the Older Persons Amendment Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP to support this bill. This mandate has been sent to the NCOP. I will now afford parties an opportunity to make a declaration if they so wish, and I recognize the ANC.
Thank you, honorable speakers, members in the House, for the opportunity, Speaker. Vandaag staan ek hier namens die ANC om ons steun vir die wysigingswet op die Ouder Persoons Bill B11B 2022 uit te spreek, 'n deurslaggende wetgewingsstuk wat gemik is op die verbetering van lewens van ouer persone in ons nasie. Hierdie wetsontwerp weerspieël die stemme van ons gemeenskappe, aangesien dit 'n wysiging insluit die publiekvoorlegging in die provinsie ondersteuningsmandaat versprei. Hierdie wetsontwerp verkloon die kollektiewe verbintenis om die vaardigheid, veiligheid en regte van ons bejaardes burgers te beskerm. Die wetsontwerp poog om ontsettende werklike wat baie ouer persone in die gesig staar aan te spreek, insluitende verwaarlosing, mishandelinge en uitbuiting. Dit is nou in sorgfasiliteite soos die Bacon Valley en Mitchellsplein of binne eie huis of familie. Dit vestig streng toesig oor die oude huise, beskerm finansiële sekuriteit, verseker vinnige aksie in alle gevalle mishandeling en verplig die wetlike rapportering van sulke voorvalle in die kultuur. Agbare Speaker, in 'n samesprekende skep doen ons 'n beklem op die regering dat 'n gesofistikeerde gesondheidstoesig en opgeleide persone vir die sorging van verskaf word aan die verouderde persone en bevolking te ondersteun. Die ANC steun sterk hierdie doelwit en erken die belangrikheid daarvan om die lewens van ons ouer persone in ons gemeenskap te verbeter. Dit is egter met diep kommer en dat ek die afwesigheid van die MEC van maatskaplike en die MEC van gesondheid en welstand tydens die besoek tydens die selekte raad van die komitee van maatskaplike dienste aanspreek, agbare Speaker. Hier hul versuim om 'n kritiese sessie by te woon wat onrespekvol en verwaarlosing van hulle pligte as rekenhouder is, Speaker. Dit ondermyn die geloofwaardigheid van hulle departemente en verminder die doeltreffendheid van die samewerking, Speaker. Ten slotte die ANC het hartlike verwysings op die ouer persone en sy doelwitte, ons blywende onverbintenis om die regte van die welstand en ouer persone aan die Weskaap daaruit te bevorder. Laat ons almal as verteenwoordiger van die mense ons toesig pligte ernstig opneem en verseker die belofte en betekenisvolle aksie omgeskakel word. Wat ons doen, agbare Speaker, dankie daarvoor.
Baie dankie, agbare lid. I recognize the Patriotic Alliance.
Speaker, namens die PA, ons ouer persone en bejaardes verdien baie beter, Speaker. Ons ondersteun die wet. Hulle stem moet gehoor word. Dus ondersteun ons die wet, Speaker.
Baie dankie. I recognize the EFF.
Baie dankie, Speaker. Somlomo, the research per Stats SA shows that people aged 60 and older account for 9.2% of South Africa's total population. It is also proven that as people age, the more vulnerable they become. It's all the care they can get. Almost in South Africa live in households where there is no single person employed, which necessitates these pensioners to share their old age grants with their children, grandchildren, and extended family members, which is often not enough to sustain everyone. The EFF will not stand in the way of legislative care for the well-being of older person, which is very much needed. Some of the positives stemming from this bill is that it makes provisions for people from places of abuse to places of safety without requiring a court order. All that is needed is a suspicion that there are instances of abuse. We also hope that this humanity will be extended to homeless elderly people and they will not be that they reside in the streets or they are mentally incapacitated.
Honorable
Of
Lita Kong, you're breaking up, so we're not able to hear your submission in the House.
A very long time, government has been failing to offer our elderly people. I hope I'm audible, Speaker.
You are audible now.
Thank you very much. For a very long time, government has been failing to offer our elderly people such as access to proper health care, food security, and affordable accommodation.
Honorable Lita Kong, we are not able to hear your full submission, and for that reason, I'm going to continue with the rest of the speakers list. If you can please make sure that you have your connectivity is enhanced, and then I'll give you an opportunity at the end to make your submission. Honorable Lita Kong?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm going to provide you an
I'm
opportunity
concluding,
at the end.
Speaker. I'm concluding.
Are you concluding?
Yes, so Speaker, the economic freedom fighters support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know what will be reflected in Hansard, but we will see what we've received. I recognize the NCC.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I want to start off by saying, let the hungry be fed, let the naked be clothed, let the sick be nourished, the aged protected, and the infants cared for. These are my daily prayers. This is a bill for the elderly people. We support.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I recognize the Freedom Front Plus.
Honourable Speaker, the Freedom Front Plus supports the Older Persons Amendment Bill. We would like to emphasize a quote that says, "How a society treats its most vulnerable is always a measure of its humanity." And I believe that this is a positive change that will serve in the best interest of the elderly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I recognize Al-Jamaa. The ACDP.
No declaration, Speaker.
I've received an apology from Honourable Heron from Good, just for the record, and I recognize the DA.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Members of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, the Democratic Alliance reaffirms its commitment to the dignity and welfare of older persons in this province. The Older Persons Amendment Bill seeks to address critical gaps in the 2006 Act, introducing measures to enhance compliance, accountability, and the quality of care provided to the elderly. The bill introduces several vital amendments, including the strengthening of monitoring frameworks, provisions for temporary safe care, and clarifications to ensure consistency in legal applications. These improvements are essential to protecting one of our most vulnerable groups. However, we recognize the challenges that come with these amendments, especially for facilities already operating under severe financial constraints. For the provisions of this bill to translate into tangible improvements, it is imperative that its implementation is supported by adequate resources, training, and funding. The Democratic Alliance has actively engaged with stakeholders and communities across the province. Through public hearings in George, Beaufort West, Worcester, and other regions, we have ensured that the voices of our citizens are at the forefront of this legislative process. We remain committed to advocating for their concerns, ensuring that the bill aligns with the realities on the ground. Honourable Speaker, while we support the intent and provisions of this bill, we emphasise the need for its implementation to be accompanied by a comprehensive financial plan. The unintended consequence of overburdening service providers must be avoided. This legislation should uplift the sector, not drive it into further challenges. Honourable Speaker, the Democratic Alliance support the Older Persons Amendment Bill overarching objectives, but we as the House must advocate for the national government to allocate sufficient funding for this critical legislation to ensure its successful implementation. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Kaiser Philander. Honourable members, I have to announce that there are currently 39. Can I just check with the table staff? Is that 39 or 40 members? And Honourable Christians? 40. I have to announce that there are currently 40 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. Question put before the House that the report of the Standing Committee on Social Development on the Older Persons Amendment Bill conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP to support this bill be ratified and adopted. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The report of the Standing Committee on Social Development on the Older Persons Amendment Bill has therefore been adopted. Honourable members, as is our tradition, I will now afford representatives of parties an opportunity to address the House on the occasion of the end of the year and the end of the session. I recognize the African National Congress.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members, as we stand at the close of another year in the Western Cape Provincial Legislature, it is time for reflection, celebration, and an acknowledgement of both the challenges and the achievements that have shaped this House. This past year, we have continued to navigate the complexities of governance and political discourse, always striving to serve the people of this province with dedication and integrity. We pause, Honourable Speaker, to remember our colleagues whom we have lost during the sixth administration. Their contributions to this legislature and to the people of this province will not be forgotten. Looking back at the elections of 2024, we recall the collective efforts that ensured that South Africans could once again exercise their democratic right to vote. The election was a reminder of the power of democracy and the importance of each citizen's voice in shaping the future of our nation. But democracy is more than just casting a ballot every 5 years. It is about active citizenship, accountability, and ensuring that government at all levels is responsive to the needs of our people. Service delivery remains the cornerstone of democracy. It is what connects us as public representatives to the communities we serve. Regardless of our political affiliations, our shared goal must always be to improve the lives of all South Africans and to address the inequalities that persist in our society. Moving forward, we must ensure that the integrity of our democratic processes remains intact, particularly in informal settlements and rural areas where infrastructure and access to services need urgent attention. Here in the Western Cape, our time in this legislature has seen spirited debates, robust oversights, and moments of collaboration across party lines. While we have faced our fair share of disagreements, these interactions have strengthened our democratic institutions and deepened our commitment to this province. As we move into the next phase of our democratic journey, let us do so with optimism and purpose. Our shared values of a better Western Cape and a united South Africa must guide us as we continue to serve with integrity and diligence. We extend our heartfelt thanks to everyone who has assisted the African National Congress caucus, and to the broader legislature staff for their support and dedication. You are the backbone of our work and have been indispensable in helping us fulfill our duties. Let us go forward, not as adversities divided by party lines, but as servants of the people, united by our love for this province and our commitment to the principles of democracy. Thank you, and may you all have a restful and blessed festive season.
Thank you very much to the leader of the opposition, the Patriotic Alliance.
Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. Speaker, allow me to give a few words from the Patriotic Alliance. Speaker, the word citizen-centric parliament echoes in parliament and in the sittings when we speak. I hope, Speaker, and the Patriotic Alliance hope that this is not only words, but the citizens of this Western Cape will feel the parliament and will feel the whatever this parliament wants to do for them. Secondly, Speaker, we as the Patriotic Alliance also call on this parliament to continue enhancing service delivery for all municipalities, making sure that we give support to smaller municipalities, rural municipalities, wherever support is needed. We also want to call on this government to make sure that when we budget, we go into this festive season and next week we come back, when we budget that we make sure that the budget of this parliament is equally distributed. And as the Premier always said, dat ons steek moet gaan soek en al die municipaliteite hulle steek moet kry sodat dit distribute word equally. Speaker, let me thank all of you in Parliament, all members on both sides, whether what political party or affiliation you are from. We are in Parliament not to represent specific political parties, but we are in Parliament to represent the people of the Western Cape. And the people of the Western Cape is not only in the city of Cape Town, but as you always said, it is also to the people of Maritzburg in the Central Karoo, because this is the borders of the Western Cape. Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you to the staff of Parliament for your support to the Patriotic Alliance. And Speaker, when we go into this festive season, please enjoy with your family. Some of us endured trials and tribulations because of sickness of our children and our mothers, but God, He looked upon us. His hand was always upon us, and we pray that all of us, when we go in this festive season, we keep safe, we enjoy with our families, and please don't drink and drive. Otherwise, the mobility MEC will be on your case. Geniet die vakansie, mag die Here met u almal wees, mag die groot en almagtige God u seën, u beskerm en u toemaak. Kom ons sien mekaar volgende jaar en ek sien daarna uit om julle te huisves in die Sentraal Karoo Boeverwes wanneer u kom vir die sopa. Geseënde Kersseisoen, Speaker. Die Here seën u.
Baie dankie, achtbare Constable. I recognize the NCC.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker.
Honorable Jacobs. Honorable Jacobs. I'm going to come back to Honorable Jacobs in the Freedom Front Plus.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, the Freedom Front Plus wishes everybody well over this festive season. And as we come to the end of 2024, we will probably reflect on the past, and then also I want to remind everybody to reflect and also appreciate this gift of life that we have been given. We as political parties and members of this House do from time to time differ, but we have a huge responsibility of representing our constituencies well and with honesty. The Government of National Unity called for greater cooperation at national level. But this same spirit of cooperation must be extended to provinces and municipalities. After all, everything that we are doing now is to serve the people of this province and the Western Cape and South Africa. We need each other as we follow party rules, but we cannot do so without each other. Everything that we do now is in the best interest of our people, and we are not enemies. We might be opponents, but obviously we're doing it to serve our people. So I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to you, Speaker, for tolerating me, tolerating my moods, and for the House, of course. And I want to thank all the staff for their support during the course of the past few months that I've been in the House for the very first time. And I want to wish everybody well and have a blessed Christmas. And to the Premier of the Western Cape, our first citizen in the province, I want to wish him all the best, to him and his family and everyone else. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Marais. Can I just check, is Honorable Jacobs, are you back online? Okay, I'm going to move on to the ACDP.
Honourable Speaker, it is my singular honour to bring salutations to colleagues in this House today. As the year draws to a close, it presents an opportunity to express my gratefulness to all the colleagues in the Chamber, both present and virtually. During this year, we have engaged in national and provincial elections, and our people have mandated us to serve them in this House. I pray to God that we will honour them by doing that. As always, it has been a joy to participate in robust debates. We have done much, but there's more to be done. Now we must spend some precious time with our family and friends. The ACDP wishes all the blessings of God upon all of us, and we pray that we will have a safe festive season. I want to bring just a portion of scripture that says the following. 1 Samuel 7 verse 12. Then Samuel took a stone and set it up between Mizpah and Sen, and called it the name Ebenezer. Thus far the Lord has helped us. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Christians. Can I just, for the final opportunity, Honorable Jacobs, are you online? If not, I recognize the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you very much, Speaker. And listening to the speakers before me, a lot of us are actually starting to reflect on what will go down as a very historic 2024. But ultimately, and now I always like to look for quotes that reflect and can sum up what a year actually means and should mean to some of us. I'm thinking of the play Julius Caesar in Act 4, a famous quote by Brutus, which said, "There's a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves." On the 29th of May, the voters of this country made a choice. They have set us on a course where they ask that we actually ultimately serve them. So 2024 can be called the year of tides. In politics, we have seen some that were big grow small. We have seen, even in our personal life, that we mature and we grow. We have seen growth and decline, again, in the political space, but also in each of our personal lives. Many of our families have been blessed to welcome newborns, but we also observed the true essence of our own morality and also our humanity when we also had to part with loved and dear ones over this entire year. And while we reflect on what Brutus said, it ultimately speaks to the entire year, the fate which we all are destined to pursue, but also speak to the free will which all of us have a choice to exercise, and the voters has ultimately expressed that free will. And each one of us who are elected to serve, Honourable Speaker, has a responsibility to ensure that we live as far as possible a noble life and a life that is honourable, that speaks to the ambition of those voters on whose behalf we speak here. So I do want to wish all of our members on both sides of the House and our staff in all of our departments, and again in the Provincial Parliament, really a blessed festive break. Please rest well, spend time with your loved ones and family, but let us never forget what the true meaning of the festive season is, irrespective of what religions we all hail from. It's to serve and give back to our communities. Because at the end of the day, we all share a common fate which is expressed through the free will which the voters have entrusted in all of us. So again, have a blessed festive break, rest well, and I hope to see you all in the new year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, honourable members. And then on behalf of myself and the administration, we wish you a blessed festive season. Please be safe on the road. Please come back rejuvenated and enjoy the quality time with your loved ones and your family. With that being said, honourable members, that concludes the business for the day. The secretary will now end the meeting and all members will be exited from the sitting and the House is adjourned.